The White Mage outfit was pretty, but it was really weird doing that last single player instance with it on.
What were you doing in it?
I was playing a White Mage. And I had that outfit on, and I was punching the shit out of Xenos at the.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Sorry, I thought you meant the last White Mage class quest, but no, that's even better.
I'm gonna heal you? No.
Play that.
Oh yeah, I can't. I want to get the new game plus so I can fucking. Well, do I even start from fucking Realm Reborn? I don't know. I do want to do that at some point.
I don't know if I even mentioned it in your chat when you did do that stream, but like most of Realm Reborn kind of sucks.
So just start with Heavensward. or no, after Realm Reborn it gets good, right? That's the like consensus.
Yeah. Like there is some important stuff during Realm Reborn, like, but a lot of it is near the end.
Yeah.
Like I think the most relevant stuff is probably Crystal Tower and the patch content.
Yeah, okay. Crystal Tower as in like the 24-man raids, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can New Game Plus that, but I can't go in there by myself. Damn it.
No.
We need at least 3 people.
Well,
if I wanted to go in unsynced, I could just... Oh well. I'm gonna go grab a drink.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do the same. Might as well get cozy for this stream.
Change my screen. I forget I have that sometimes. There we go. We're right back. Yes. Ginger ale? Yes. The flame of the game.
Hello everyone. 第68回 Final Fantasy XIV プロデューサーレターライブをお送りいたします。Thank you very much for tuning in to Final Fantasy XIV Letter from the Producer Live number 68. 皆さんに自己紹介お願いします。Please introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Naoki Yoshida, producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV. 皆さんおはようございます。そしてこんばんはな人も多いですね。Final Fantasy XIV プロデューサー兼ディレクターの吉田です。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。そして本日進行を務めますコミュニティチームモルボルこと室内です。よろしくお願いします。My name is Toshio Murochi, also known as the Fox Clone. You are global community producer here. I will do the MC stuff for today's live letter. はい。そして、本日はですね、本日の、プロデューサー日本語と英語のバイリンガル放送でお送りいたしますので、我らがあいみさんがすでにアメリカオフィスから入ってくださっております。So once again, today's letter live is fully bilingual in both Japanese and English. So we have a special member from Square Enix America office. あいみさんです。おはようございます。
おはようございます。スクエアニックスアメリカの徳武愛美です。通訳を務めさせていただきます。よろしくお願いします。Hello everyone, this is Aimee from the Square Enix Los Angeles office. I'm supporting for the translations.
Yep, okay.
はい。で本日の、PLL はですね、このセットアップをご覧になった方もいるかと思いますが、吉田さんが話したことは、あいみさんが通訳してくださいます。で、私が喋ることは私が自分で、翻訳しながら進めていきますので、で、対して 私からは大して重要な話は出ませんので、私のことを翻訳し忘れてるなというのはスルーしておいていただければと思いますのでよろしくお願いします。So today's setup is Yoshida-san explain things in
God,
Japanese,
Storm has
and
come
then
back. Everyone
Anson will
scatter.
do Yoshida-san's voice in English.
Gotta get out of here.
And I will translate myself. はい、そして今日の PLL はですね、前半戦は、ファイナルファンタジー14の新たなる挑戦、次の10年に向けてということで、吉田さんからいろいろご説明いただきます。そして後半はですね、休憩挟みまして後半は、フォーラムで事前に募集しました、パッチ 6.0 をプレイしてみてのQ&A セッションをお送りしたいと思います。So today's Later Live has two major parts, and then first half is the kind of presentation by
the song's so good though.
Yoshida, which is where we are and where we
love
are
that
going
song.
for next 10 years.
Footfall.
Oh, maybe they'll
And then
show
we
us
have a break, and then latter half is the Q&A
End
session
Singer
based on your
EX.
gameplay
Maybe they'll show that today.
of 6.0 expansion.
Probably
はい
not, but I
という
have my
ことで
hopes
始
up.
めて
I want to
まい
do
りたい
that
と
one.
思います。
ですね、私がこっちを見てるとき、こうなってるとき
I don't know why the
は、
songs
皆さ
remind
ん
me
の
of
コメ
that.
ントを見てるときなので、今日こういうシチュエーションすごい多いと思うんで、ご理解ください。
I like how it's
So you
all.
might see me turn
I like how
my
the song
head
is an
sometimes
amalgamation
when
of
I'm
like all the
speaking, but
themes.
I am actively looking
Yeah,
at the
it's so
comments
good.
that people are
Oh my
making
god.
as they
Footfalls.
watch the stream.
Would you
so
say
you may see me
Footfalls is
turn
better
it
than
this way,
Shadowbringers?
but I am still participating, so just wanted to let you know.
Like in terms
まあ
of the
ちょっと
song,
ね
not the
日本のコ
expansion,
メン
but
ト
like
でね、この
Man, it's
通訳
tough.
放送はテンポ悪いんだよなって言ってる人いるんですけど、まあグローバル全体でね、お届け
Nothing
している
hyped me up
の
more in a
で、
video
吉
game
田
than
の
when they
長い
started playing
話をですね、
Shadowbringers
アニさん
before the
一生懸
final
命ね通訳
trial
してくれてるんで、
of that
そこは
expansion.
ね、それを言われると我々ちょっと悲しくなるんで、
that's fair.
そういうまあファンフェスのステージぐらいで思って
But
I'm
it is
some
so
jello,
fucking
so-
close.
Sorry.
No, you're
And
good.
we
You're good.
do see some comments about how translations kind of drag on the pace. It doesn't feel as quick. But I mean, it's here to try to facilitate communicating Yoshida's comments. It makes us sad if you're disappointed that it's in two languages. But perhaps if
Wait,
you look at it
people are complaining
like
about the
a fan fest
translation?
stage event where we have the Japanese and English, maybe that might help it.
For a
Bro,
second, I
translators
thought they were
amazing.
all in the same
コメントで
fucking
今日
room.
は 6.1
It looks
They-
like it, right?
they are not. They are not in the same room.
The only thing
It's clearly-
hinting at is like the chocobo cut off in the back.
Yeah.
6.1 がっつりってことだけはないんですよね。
そうですね、パッチ 6.1 の内容と紹介に関
No,
しては3月
People get mad about seriously?
に、パッチ 6.1 特集パート1
Yeah,
の
people are getting mad at the
予定なので
translators because they're taking a long
6.1
time.
まあでも今日ちょっと出ますけどね。6.1
How else are you gonna get your
の詳しいところは
information in
そっちに
English other than the fucking translated people
Excuse
translating the
me.
thing
Today's
afterwards?
broadcast is
Like,
not
Square
literally
Enix,
going to
give me
just
live
live
subtitles,
6.1.
please.
We may touch upon
least
it, but
they're
then the details
giving out the
are
information,
going to be
like-
explained
Yeah.
on another episode of the live letter on March the 4th. This is JST, but we will go into details of that timing.
あとはまあなんかこう重大発表的なねニュアンスで取られてるけど楽しく気楽に行くので皆さんもですね緊張せず気楽に今日は見てもらえると嬉しいです。
And some people might be bracing for a very important announcement when we talk about today's broadcast, but that's not the intent. We would love for you to just relax and just have fun with the broadcast.
面白いですよ。
なんかこういうこと言うたびにさよしやめんのみたいな
Okay,
の
don't
出
expect
るんだよ
anything big, I
な。
guess.
ついにこう俺さ、でもいつだっけ新情報
Damn it,
発表
boys, we're not
会
getting the
で
next
さ言ったばっかりだよ
expansion.
ライフワークだって
Yeah, no, 7.0
そういう話じゃ
canceled.
ないんすよ
Damn it. All right, it was a good
I
run,
understand
boys.
we were
Time for the
talking
next
about, like, the
MMO.
future of Final Fantasy XIV, but every time we mention something like that, people are like, "Oh no, is Yoshida going to quit?" And no, I think I told us when we were doing our announcement showcase in February. It's like 14 is my life work. It's not like I'm going to just up and leave suddenly.
もうそんなんで嘘つきってやるの嫌だからなんだろうそんなね自分の去就をね重大発表をしますみたいなねことは言わないですよ。
ちょっと恥ずかしいね。
うん。
I mean, I don't want people to be going around saying, "Oh, you're such a liar," because I mean, I'm not the type of person who would make these kinds of like my personal announcements on a live stream. So.
さあでは、やっていきましょうか早速。前半だいたいね2時間ぐらい、 後半も多分2時間ぐらい使うんじゃないかなと思います。なのでご飯食べたりですね、今日土曜日なんで飲める人はお酒飲みながらとかでも全然いいので、楽しくいきましょう。
So we're looking at least for the first part, we're looking at about 2 hours broadcast. And so just you're free to do like you have dinner or like eat lunch as you're watching the broadcast. It is a Saturday, so if you want to start drinking
Thank you.
early, you're more than welcome to do so.
Oh, I wish I had the booze. We could go on a
さあ
booze
行きまし
cruise.
ょう。では、画面切り替えてもらっていいかな。はいはい。じゃあ早
Live
速
letter
い
bingo?
き
Is that
ま
what
す
this
が
is?、
改めて今日お話しする内容のトピックおさらいしておきましょう。
Okay, so jumping right in, let me go over the topics we will cover.
で、まず一つ目はちょっとですね、まあ14これまで、正確にはね11年やってきているので、まあちょっと振り返りを最初にね、皆さんへの感謝も込めて、やりたいと思います。
The first topic, of course, it's been about 11 years, to be accurate, how long 14 has been going on. So we'd like to kind of do a little bit of a retrospect, just convey our thanks to our players and look back on everything.
でまあそれを振り返った上でですねまあちょっとこの先じゃあさらにもう10年は僕続けたいと思ってるんで、まあ、この先10年さらに14を発展させていくために、まあ、新しい挑戦
Now that I'm looking at this map, do we travel by airship to get to these places, or like?
And then once we do look back on our
Like
past,
Ultra
then
Land's
we
over
look
there.
forward to the next 10 years. Because as I
Golemald's
mentioned,
in
I
the,
would
like,
love to
middle or some
continue
shit,
having
right?
Final Fantasy 14 for yet another
Our
10
land
years.
was by
So there
boat?
are many different
Charlia was by boat. Okay.
things that we wanted
Yeah,
to do in
Charlia
order
and,
to
the Far
continue
East.
expanding Final Fantasy 14. Many
I think
challenges that we want
Garlemald
to
was
take on.
airship
So
though.
I want to touch upon
Yeah.
some of those items in
And then Rod
today's
said Hannah's over
podcast.
here.
でここまでいったら一回休憩を挟んで、
Yeah,
放
Red
送
Said
後半
Hannah
と
is
して
the,
3つ目、パッチ
lower right
6.0
in
行
the
月
middle
の
of
フ
the
ィナー
ocean.
レ、プレイしてみて何かありますかというので Q&A 事前に質問募集していましたので、それに対していろいろお答えしていこうかなと思ってます。
And then once we do that, we will have a break in between, and then it'll go into the latter half of the show where we kind of asked the players, what did you think after playing 6.0? And so we will do a bit of an Endwalker Q&A.
There's a like I don't think I'll be. We'll see how long I'm able to stay awake for.
We're
But
seeing
like,
comments like, "Oh, 10 more years, huh? Is Yoshida going to?"
I kind of wanna see if Zemo's questions
まああったよ
make
ね、確か
it.
にね。吉田の量産を開始しましたとか、クローンの吉田が誕生したので紹介しますとか、そういうのじゃねえかって書かれてましたね。
But yeah, I think I've seen comments similar to that, and like people saying, "Oh, we have mass manufactured Yoshida clones."
でなぜか私はもう完了してますよって書いてあるんですよ。
そう。
Yeah, then I say I've done already. So something like that.
では早速いきましょうか。まずはまあ正確にはね11年なんですけど大きくくくってまあ10年ここまで皆さんとねやってきたのをちょっと振り返っていきたいと思います。
Okay, so jumping into the timeline here, of course, accurately it's 11 years, but like we'll call this the 10 years of Final Fantasy 14.
まあいろいろありましたね。まあ2010年サービスを開始して、その12月に運営体制ね全部開発も、一新して僕はここから参加です、ね。
Quite a wild ride, man.
So first, 2010 was when it all started. Many things that happened caused us to sort of reconsider the development structures, and there was a lot of changes that were made in order to kind of reboot the title. So this is when Yoshida joined into the project.
で2011年の2011年の10月14日に、まあ、14日が縁起がいいだろうっていうので申請をやりますよという発表してますね。
And then 2011, October 14th, we were thinking 14th must bring us good luck. And that's when we announced that we are going to have Final Fantasy 14 Reborn.
海外の皆さん詳しいよね。 あゆみさんもインタビューに言っ
Blow
て
it
くれた
up.
と思うけど、
Burn it.
吸盤を遊んでみたいので
Burn
復活
1.0
吸盤
burn
の
it.
サーバーを復活させる気ありませんかって、クラシックファイナルファンタジー14やる気ありませんかって、ナイトメアって答えたやつみんな覚えてて、ナイトメアってすげえ言ってんのコメントで。
I love how the comments from the West are. I love how they know all these details, and I'm sure Imi had sat into the interviews as well. But people were asking about, oh, are you going to make an FF14 1.0 classic like WoW Classic did theirs? And Yoshida answered, Nightmare. And so people are calling the time of 1.0 in Nightmare. It's awesome.
でまあ2012年の11月11日にですね、時代の終焉トレーラー公開とともにですね、一旦申請の準備のために Q14 のサービスを、終了させていただいてます。
And of course, in November 11th of 2012,
Oh, my mic was muted. Oh,
we
shit.
titled it The End
Oh,
of
were you-
an Era, and we sort of
What are you
closed
saying?
the
I muted it to blow my nose. I was like,
original
man.
version of Final Fantasy 14.
Like, why is he reacting to what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, I was reacting.
まちまちだとは思うんですけど、9番のラスト付近は
I was just saying,
それはそれで
imagine
また
going
独
back
特
to
の
play
ゲームデザインの部分として結構ね
That would be so
好き
wild.
だった面白くなったんだよって言ってくれる人たちもたくさんいて、
God, the game was-
まあ
the game
僕ら
was
シャッ
so
トダウンするの
different.
を決めながらも作ってたところに対してそういうね評価をもらってたりす
I
るの
remember
も
when
とて
that
もあ
was
りがたい
first
ことなので
coming out,
僕らも
and
すごい
like
ね実は励みに
I
なっ
just
て
looked, I was like, man, that game doesn't even look good, and I'm not even
Of
an
course,
MMO
people
player.
who have been playing since the
I was
original
interested in playing it.
1.0,
I was
may
like,
have their
but
different
we were in high
opinions
school
about
and I didn't
how
have
the
a
game
job,
had
so I was
played.
like, well,
But there were
I
people
don't-
who
not gonna
thankfully
get the
Man, I didn't have a
acknowledged
gaming
how
PC until I
14
started
was starting to
working.
shift, and they
Yeah.
did take notice about how the game design was unique, despite we were looking to sunset the original version. And so it was wonderful that people acknowledged that, and that was very encouraging for us as a team.
ちなみに9番から今日視聴してくださってる方で Q14 からやってるよって方、どうですか？手を挙げてもらってもいいですか？
So if I could have people in the comments, by show of hands, I don't know how you raise your hands, but like anybody who's been playing since 1.0, the original Final Fantasy 14, we would love to see who's
Not
been with us
me.
since then.
No, not me,
It's
not me
Boy,
either.
there's a lot.
I'm a Stormblood baby.
Wow.
What?
Thank you very much.
すごいありがたい。
That's amazing. Thank you guys.
And I didn't even
まあここからね
really
あ
start
と10
playing
年お
until
互い
right
健康
before
に気をつけて
Shadowbringers
楽
too.
しんでいきましょう。
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking forward to the next 10 years. So yeah, let's all take care of our health and keep going. That's awesome.
で、2013年ですね、ベータテストをやりながら、2013年8月27日についに新
Still remember
正式サービス
When
開始
you rode me around on your two-seater chocobo when I was first playing on
So
PS4.
moving on,
Yep.
2013,
That was
we
a-
start
that was a
our beta
time.
testing for A Realm Reborn,
That
and then
happened.
August 27 of the same
At least
year,
it wasn't the other thing that I
we
got.
were able to relaunch as A Realm Reborn.
振り
The
返るとです
Moogle.
ね、2011年の
I mean, the what?
3月ぐらいから
Well,
一気に
Moogle.
新
No,
生
we don't
14
know what
の
that
We
is.
don't, we don't talk about that. I
5
totally
人
didn't
ぐら
buy
い
a
で設
Moogle
計をスタートして2011年の6月から6人のプログラマーがコードを書き始めたのを覚えてるので、実質そこから2年
Yeah,
2ヶ
like
月
just
で
look at that screenshot.
新生
Like,
リリースしてるので、もうちょっと驚異
if
的
I could zoom in
今
on
振り
it,
返る
but
と
like, look how different it
And
looks.
looking
It just
back,
looks so
so
different.
that it was 2011.
Have
in
you
March,
seen the HUD for
we started
1.0?
at least doing the framework, just
I've seen like
design
bits and
structure
pieces of
first,
it.
and it was a very
Yeah,
small team.
I
that worked on
looked
it. It
up
was
a bit
5
of
people
gameplay, and
who
it's
started
like
on the base framework,
I
and
think it
then
played like a
starting in
turn-based
June of
RPG.
that same year, 2011, we had
I
6
think it was more like
starting
I think
to
it was
write
more like
code.
11, wasn't it?
And
Yeah,
considering it took
yeah.
about 2 years and 2
I
months
just remember it was really
to
slow-paced.
relaunch, that's just incredible.
で、念願だったですねファンフェスっていうのを2014年の10月からですね、スタートすることができました。今でも覚えてます。
And of course, by 2014, October, we were able to hold our very first fan festival. That was something that we really wanted to do.
初めてやった北米の ファンフェスの基調公演でステージに上がった時の大歓声でですね、
すご
もう
かったですね
足が震えて
16 million people by the end of.
I
or
still
by
remember
the,
it today. The first time
And
we did our
just
fan
wait
end of
until they
Stormblood.
swap
and
over to
we started out
2020,
in the North
2021.
America
That number is
region,
going to
and when I took the
skyrocket.
stage
Yeah.
to do my keynote presentation and just the
I think
the
they're up to
cheer
like
that I
20 million
received
now.
from the audience, man, my
I
legs were
would,
shaking.
I'd
when
probably
I
say
was
more
up
than
there.
20 million.
Yeah,
で
you're
初の
probably right. I
拡
just
張である
remember
ヘブン
the
ズワー
huge
ド、
boost
2015年の6月にリリー
this
ス
summer
して
even
その
when
後
Yeah.
8月
Asmongold.
に、
all the WoW
全世界累計
refugees,
登録
man.
者数が
Wow,
500万人を
wow,
突破した
wow,
と。
UGs.
And then next, we were able to launch our first ever expansion pack, Heavensward, in 2015 June. And then soon
only way I
after,
could get
we
Jordan to play
reached
this game was
5
Asmongold
million
started playing it.
registered players.
でこの辺りはですね、我々開発チ
Oh,
ームが
really?
ですね、高難易度
Yeah.
高難易度って言われて、よしやっちゃうぞって言って
Well, he kept on
キ
going.
リッキリな
Oh
の
no,
を
man!
や
If
っ
I'm
たら
playing
ですね、
MMO,
い
it's
や
gonna
難しす
be
ぎんだ
World
ろ
of
ってなって
Warcraft
ですね、
or
我々もいろいろな
thought
失敗を繰り返しつつ
Final
です
Fantasy was
ね、
too weeb.
今に繋がってる本当重要な時期だったと思います、ここは。
The weeb,
But-
the weeb part doesn't fucking
But
matter.
this
like-
is around the time
It
when
is
people
weeb,
were
yes,
starting
but,
to
like,
clamor
come
Well, I
on,
mean, it's
man.
mostly the
higher
community
difficult
that's weeb.
content, higher difficult content.
Yeah.
And the dev team got so
The game
excited
itself
about, oh, yeah,
is
you want
like
difficult, and so
Pretty
we
straightforward
gave you
fantasy.
really
Yeah.
tough content. And
It just
people
has an
started
anime
complaining now
aesthetic,
about,
that's why
oh
it's
no,
weeb,
this is
so
too
it's like-
difficult. Yoshida,
I
this
mean,
is too
weeb isn't even
difficult.
bad,
And
if
so
we're
we were
being
trying
honest.
to find
No.
that balance. It was trial and error trying to get to that
Just,
nice balance. But I think it was really important that we're making that conversation.
あれでね、
Just
僕は
to
人
stay
生
out
の
of
格言の
public
一つ
chat
を
limps
学
and
んだんで
laments
す
is all I'm
プ
saying.
レイヤーの皆さんには
Don't
簡
look
単
at
だっ
that.
たなって
Don't
言
look
わ
at
れる
that.
ぐらいが
Don't go that way.
Don't look at it.
And
Don't
that-
make eye
then, it was
contact
then
with
that
the
I learned
dancers.
this very valuable lesson, which is I think it's best to keep the difficulty where the players would walk out of it saying, that was pretty easy.
で、グレンドリベレーターを発売したのが2017年6月で、この辺りからようやくこうバトルコンテンツ以外の、そのもう14の世界に住むみたいなことをより具体化していけるようになったのがこのぐらいの時期で、それがね、功を奏してですね、登録者数が、この時点で1000万人突破と。
And then, of course, Stormblood released in 2017 June, and we started looking at various other types of content aside from battle and combat, content that would involve the feeling of living in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. And I think that really struck a chord with people. People were resonating with it, which thankfully got us to our registered player number up to 14 million players.
思い出されるグレンドリベレーター初日のね、ラウバーン透滅戦。
すごかったですね。
I think me and Ren
And I
joined
still
around
remember
like
when Stormblood first launched, Rauban Extreme.
It was like the-
in the 90s.
Robot Extreme, nice.
ありましたね。
Me and Ren joined in around
I
like
think we all remember that.
end of Heavensward, basically.
あの失敗があってね、今の安定したキューイングシステムがあったりするからね。
Wasn't
But I mean, even with that failure,
both
we
of the
learned from
range
it,
classes
and we were
like
able to
Bard and
build a
Machinist
much
completely
were
better
busted
queuing
at that
They
system.
were they were
そ
busted,
してですね
but they were also
2018
casters.
年になると
Yeah.
全世
Yeah.
界
I
登録
kind of want to
者
see
数1000万
gameplay of
人
that at some point. That sounds so
1400万人
weird.
を突破して、2019
And, like,
年には
Dark Knight was good in that
1600
expansion.
万人を
Dark Knight was
あり
so
がとうございます
it was the tank I wanted to play because it was so fun.
So I'm sorry.
And
this
I
is where
did
we
play
hit,
it, too.
14 million is
But, like,
2018 August.
now it's like,
and
I
then
don't give a fuck.
Look how they
moving on,
butchered your
we
boy.
reached,
They butchered
16
my
million
boy so
players,
badly.
By 2019.
Don't worry, man. Maybe in the
May.
next
So
10 years
thank
they'll
you
fix
so much
it.
for all the players. that are
We'll
staying
find
with
out
us.
today. Fix Dark Knight.
そう
Give us
して
back
続
Dark
けて
Arts.
ですね
Give us back
2019年に
Underneath
漆黒の
When
ヴィラン
it's
ズ
like
を
our next
発売
10
し
years,
そ
there'll
の
just be
年
one
末には
tiny
ですね
bullet points, like
全世界
maybe we'll
累計
fix
登録者
Dark
数が
Knight.
1800万人を、突破となりま
Wait,
した
here it
Tiny
is. Okay. 18
And moving on,
million.
we released
So 25 mil.
Shadowbringers in
Oh my
2019,
God.
and soon
And that was
after,
before
we
Endwalker
surpassed
launched.
18 million
Yeah.
registered players.
Oh,
What's it gonna? What's it like out? What's it like right now?
数字に関して言うと
Oh, no!
Oh my
数字だけ
God.
をこう見ていくとその
Because they did resume
なんていうの
sales.
増えるペースっていうのが か
But I don't know if they
ばらついてるように
resumed
見えるのかもしれないんですけど、実は
free people yet though.
体験したことがある人が増えれば増えるほど
Let me go check while we're staring
新
at the
規が当
screen.
然減るんですよね、
はい
パイが決まってるところから新しい人を呼ばなきゃいけないので、だからここまでの数字になってるのにさらに数百万増やしていくっていうこと自体は
Yeah, still
とても
unavailable.
すごいことで、これは本当ね、まあ、開発運営チームの努力もそうなんですけど、マーケティング PR チームが、
はい
コミュニティの皆さんと一緒になって達成してきてる数字なので、本当にこれはね誇らしい
You
数字だと
can
思い
buy
ます。
the game, but you can't do the
And looking at the numbers,
read the
meme.
it
Can't do the
might
free trial.
seem like
can't do the meme
it's-
still.
there's
Get away
no
from our game.
real, like nothing of
There
note.
is
Oh,
no
yeah, the
free
numbers are
trial
just,
up until Heaven's Word.
increasing,
Please
but
go
If you
away.
consider this, if we have a certain number of people already playing the game, and if we have a single pie that we're taking numbers out of, like you would expect the numbers to start going down, but it's interesting that we see more and more players join us even after all these years. We are seeing millions signing up. So, of course, I really want to acknowledge the development team, operations team, but also the marketing and PR teams working with the community to kind of promote the title and get the word out. So I'm very proud of their achievements.
そして2021年、去
I
年で
don't know,
す
man.
ね、
The marketing
12
team had a
月
pretty
2日
easy
には
job.
で
We
すね、
did
前
it for
回
them.
累計登録者数が
Yeah, we did.
2500万人を突破し、ちょっと昨日の数字とかは
Oh,
見
okay,
て
let's
ない
play
んですけ
into
ど、
the
ま
meme.
だ全然まだ
People made a meme, we'll play into it.
で、12月7日ですね、すいません、2週間ほどちょっと遅延をさせていただくことにはなってしまいましたが、行月のフィナーレを発売して、ハイデリンゾディアーク編完結というところまでこぎつけてこられたなと。
And of course, 2021, which is last year, we surpassed 25 million registered players. I did not see yesterday's numbers or like as of yesterday's numbers, but I do understand that our numbers are still increasing. And then afterwards, I know we
Please
had to
give us a
delay
number.
the release by about 2 weeks. Again, apologies for the delay, but we were able to release Endwalker, and finally we were able to conclude the overarching story of Heidelin and Zodiark.
まあ長かったようで、僕は結構あっとい
He's
う間
not.
の
I don't think he was
11
ever
年
gonna let it
で
live
した。
that.
でも本当にね、世界中のプレイヤーの
It's
皆さん、
fine.
光の選手の皆
It
さ
was
ん、
2 weeks.
メディアの皆さんもね、関係各社の皆さんにも本当にも
Yoshida's
のすごく
like,
こん
"No."
なに支えてもらうタイト
Yeah,
ルは
in
他
the
にない
grand
だろうと
scheme
思
of
うぐらい
things, it's fine.
支えていただいた
Yeah.
ところ
But I
まで
know,
来れたので、改めて
Like
本当
some
に感謝
people
を
who booked
伝
time
え
off
したい
just
と思い
got
ます。ありがとうござい
fucked
ます。
by the delay.
Yeah.
And it feels like a long time, but
Like even
man,
me,
this-
I
these
almost
11
got
years
fucked
went
over,
by
but my
very
boss is
quickly
a
for
fucking
me.
Chad.
And
He's like, yeah, you
all
can
of
swap
our
days off. Who
warriors of
cares?
light, our players, members of the media,
Week
all
off
of our
to play,
supporting
do
partner
whatever. Go for it.
companies as well. There were just so many people
Thank
that
you. You're a
supported us
Chad.
throughout
Don't call me
this
that.
all. So I do
I'm
want
a
to take this
chud.
opportunity to
I
convey
am
my
chud.
gratitude from the bottom of my heart. So I sincerely thank everybody.
はい。まあ、あとは本当ね、開発チームにも、本当に厳しいスケジュールでやってきてて、まあ、実は拡張パッケージそのものの開発期間って1年とか、下手すると1年切ってたりするんで、まあ、本当に頑張ってきてもらって
I'm holding a
ました。
spoon.
And I also
Why?
want to
I don't know.
acknowledge the
Oh,
development
actually, I
team
had
as
a Jello.
well. They
That's
were
why I
always
pulled a
working
spoon.
against a very harsh schedule.
Just have the jello, no pudding.
And even developing some of
No,
our
no pudding.
expansion
No,
packs.
no pudding
Sometimes
for
we
pudding
have
way?
only about a year or even less than a
No.
year
Oh,
to
wait, you
get through
don't
all of
know
the
that
tasks
character
that
yet.
needed to get done. So I really want to show
You'll know
my
them one day.
appreciation to them as
Then
well.
when you do, you look back on this
さ
one
て、
and go,
で
hey.
はこれを踏まえてですね、ここま
Hey,
で
pudding
歩んで
way.
きたその11年、9番の状態を考えれば、これ以上ないぐらいの成功をさせていただいたと思ってます。ここは
Wasn't that
あ
the
んまり
naming
言葉を
conventions of like the
隠さずに
rabbits
成
in the
功
moon?
できてると思ってるので、それでいいと思ってるんですけど、まあここまではある意味も
Yeah,
う
their
過去になっ
names
た
are
の
like
で、
their
こ
job,
こからさ
then
らに次
way.
の
So
10年、
like
また挑戦を続けていきたいと思います。
sleep. Well,
And looking at
it's supposed to be their
the
jobs, but like some of them are called
trajectory here and
sleeping
the
way.
path
Imagine your
we've
job being
walked
sleeping.
down,
Yeah, I'm down.
I think I want
Yo,
to
that's a
consider this
career.
a success from what we had taken and what state it was in when we had first taken on the the project and to bring it to where it is now. I'm not ashamed to declare it. It might be a little awkward in the Japanese, but I believe it is a success, and I think it's a good thing that we've gotten here. But now that we have gotten
Saying the
this
game was
far,
a
all of this is
success
now in
might
the
be an
past, and
understatement.
so we
It's-
want to look
yeah.
to the future. We want to see
It just blew
what
up.
kind of challenges we can take on.
It blew up in a good
と
way.
いうわけで2つ目のセクションである14の新しい挑
Like
戦と
FF14
題してですね、
became
まあ、今後どう
the
いうことをやっていくよというの
MMO
を
to
お
aspire
伝えしていきたいと思います
Yeah.
So, for the second part of this presentation, as
Yeah,
you
this-
see, it
this
is entitled
screenshot of Old
Newfound
Charlie is
Futures.
fucking-
So, I would like
It's
to
so
discuss
good.
what we are intending to do.
So good.
まずですね、僕としてはですね、社長
Like, as soon
か
as
ら
this
やめろ
happens in the
って言われ
trailer,
る
it's
か
like
まあ
you
やめろっ
can't
て言われても抵抗
you
するとは
can't
思うんで
not
すけ
get
ど
hard every time
開
you
発
see
者
it.
の上中からやめろって言われ
Oh,
る
higher.
死ぬ
Yeah.
かぐらいの以外では14をやめる気がなく続けていきますんで、この先もぜひ皆さんよろしくお願いしま
Apologies
す。
stream, I can't sing.
And me personally,
I
as
can't either.
Yoshida, unless the CEO
No karaoke
says
streams
Yoshida,
in
you
this
need to
house, I'm
leave,
sorry.
and even then, I think I'm going to fight him. Or if like the development team, the operations team want to kick me out, or if I, God forbid, die. Those are the only extreme cases I would even consider leaving the 14 project. I
will
want
only
to
leave
continue
FF14
working on
if
Final
I am
Fantasy
dead.
14. So your continued support will definitely be
Unless
appreciated.
they can somehow bring him back with necromancy.
というわけでですね、まず
They'll add
今回
necromancy
そ
to
の
the game.
10年さらにこう
We gotta bring back Yoshi P.
せっかくねここまで日本初のそのサービスでこの規模まで来れるってなかなかあることじゃないので、この先の10年に向けてまずは 7.0 をめがけて、新しいことに挑戦していこうと思ってます。
So, of course, with this title, and considering that this game was launched from a Japanese development studio and being able to expand to this global scope, it's a rarity, I think. And so, my next goal, my future goal, is now looking at 7.0 and leading up to that, what can we do?
コメントが
Fix Dark Knight.
7.0 って言ったかで
That's what people are gonna say in the chat. Fix Dark Knight.
Dark
Fix
Knight?
Dark Knight. Fix Dark Knight. Go back to
People
Heaven's
are
Sword.
already
Fix Dark Knight.
speculating about, oh no, 7.0
Let's
confirmed? Well,
check.
I mean, we are already talking about scenario for 7.0. I'm not afraid to say that we do intend on doing a 7.0.
まずここに向けてちょっとコンセプトを話をさせてもらいます。まずその一つ
Oh
目
my
が
god,
こ
someone actually
ちら
said
になります。
necromancer?
Necromancy.
Now, that being said, I do want to establish what my thinking is and the concept behind what we're trying to do leading up to 7.0. And this is the first point.
まあこれ具体的にどういうことっていうのはこの後ちゃんと、お話ししようと思います。
And of course, I will go into detail as to what this exactly means.
そしてですね、7.0 に向けて、チャレンジとしてですね、
Enhancements as a solo
こちら、
and multiplayer RPG experience.
第一次グラフィックス
The
の
game's
アッ
first
プデー
graphical
ト
update.
の準備開発っていうのをやっていきます。
Yeah.
And then next,
People were
again,
speculating
leading,
maybe an engine
up
change,
to
'cause, like-
7.0,
Yeah.
and one of the
Well,
challenges that we want to
I know
take
they
on
wanted to do that for a
is
while
our
because like the
first
glamour
graphical
dresser's kind of
update, at
been
least the
fucked because of the old
preparation
engine.
and the development
Yeah.
for it.
And
まあ
and
なん
still
で第
spaghetti
一次って
code
ついてる
too.
かっていうの
So
も
Yeah.
後でね、この
I mean, now's the
掘り下げて
perfect
ちょっ
time
と
to
お話
do
を
it now that they have all the time in the world.
And of course, when we dive into each of these different points, I will touch upon why we are calling this the first graphical update.
まあ一応先に言っとくコメントが結構多いんで7.0 で PS4 が遊べなくなるってことはないです、それはないのでお約束しておきます。
I do want to clarify though, because I am seeing a lot of comments wondering about this. This does not necessarily mean that we are ceasing the support for PS4 as of 7.0. So I do want to clear that out first.
no.
そしてですね、
The
今日
PS4
3
is a
つ
huge-
目
huge install
せっかくな
base,
の
so
で
they- I
パ
don't
ッ
think
チ
they'd wanna get rid of that.
6.X シリーズで
Yeah.
どんなことをやって
I
い
mean,
くかと
fuck
いう
you
のもお
losers,
知ら
get
せします
PS5.
Get a PS5. Get a PS5
And
or
the
cry.
third point,
Just
buy
one,
we are here, I would
idiot.
like to take the opportunity
buy one
to
for him,
cover
fuck
him.
what
One,
we are
fuck
planning
him.
to do throughout the 6.x series
What's
as a
that?
sort of
What's that,
roadmap.
Yoshi P? Fuck him?
はい、では
You heard it here, folks. Fuck 'em.
詳しくよりお伝えしていこうと思い
Heard
ま
it
す
here first.
You're here, bro.
Into the
You're here,
details?
your post. He said fuck him. One of
Oh my
favorite
god, what the
Steam
fuck's
emojis.
that lollipow on
ま
the
ず
top
コン
right?
セプトの一つ
Are
目
they-
は
I'm not looking.
Okay.
I'm not looking
で
up
も
there.
みんなでも遊べる RPG へ、まあ、さらなる進化を
They're
し
very
ていきます
happy,
と。
It was blurry at first, so it looked like it was a
First
bald
concept, an
Lalafell.
even better RPG, alone or with friends.
これまあ何かというとですね、まあ、読んで字のごとくなんですけど、
They are in
その
fact not
ファイナル
bald.
ファン
I'm
タ
just
ジー
blind.
14一応ジャンルとしては MMORPG って呼ばれてます。
So, I mean, it is what it says, of course, but yes, I understand that Final Fantasy XIV as a game genre would be categorized as an MMORPG.
そこでですね、まあ、僕この11年ファイナルファンタジー14をやってきて、世界中のこうプレイヤーの皆さんとイベントだったりこう、まあ、ファンフェスも含めてですけど、本当たくさんのゲーマーの人たちとこう話をしてきました。
And of course, throughout the 11 years of doing Final Fantasy XIV, we did various events, gaming events, including Fan Festival, and I had the opportunity to speak with the different gamers.
Gamers?
そこでですね、
Gamers？
あとそのマーケティングチームに市場調査とかをしてもらって、まあ、これね
Gamers
定期的に
rise up
拡張のたびにやってるんですけど、やっぱりこうそこで出てくる答えっていうのが、まあ、なかなかブレイクスルーできないなっていうのがあったりします。
And of course, I would have my marketing teams perform market research as well. And this is something we regularly do when we start to plan for upcoming expansion packs. And with the information that we receive, and there's always like a question that we never seem to find a way to break through.
2つあって、1つはファイナルファンタジーシリーズ大好きなんだよ、すごいファンなんだ、全部やってるよ、ただし11と14以外ねっていうのがめちゃくちゃ悔しい。
So there's actually two, and one of them is we see there's a lot of players that love Final Fantasy, and many that claim they've played all of the Final Fantasies except for 11 and 14, which is very frustrating.
まあ、11もね今かなり、アップデートをかけてかなり大部分ねそばで遊べるように快適にしてますが、14はさらにその先へ行きたいと思ってます。
But man, I'm
Of
the
course,
opposite of that.
we are
FF14
paying
is the only one I've
attention
ever
to Final
completed.
Fantasy 11 players as well, and we've made various
Quote,
updates.
unquote.
I think it has become very solo friendly recently, but with Final Fantasy 14, we want to go beyond that.
あとはこうもう一つはですね、オンラインなんだよね、めんどくさい、人と遊ぶの嫌、なんかこう人間関係作るの嫌
It would be interesting if they made a standalone
そ
release
のプレイをしない理由っていうところで。
where they, but it wouldn't be the same
The
game
second
without it.
point, the
Like a
you're trying to
standalone for the
make a
single
breakthrough
player? Yeah, I'm
is
not sure how that would
people
work.
comment about,
Yeah.
oh, online play, I don't want to deal with having to play with other people. I don't want to develop relationships online.
Maybe one thing they're
And
leading
that's
into is having like a
actually
trust
very
system for
large
all
reason,
the
if not the
older
number one
story
reason many
content.
players kind
Yeah.
of hesitate
So we don't have
playing
story roulette
14.
anymore.
だから10年かけて MMORPG っていうジャンルじゃなくて、一人でもみんなでも遊べる RPG っていうジャンルにしたいと14を。
Because starting with
So what I
Shadowbringers, you
want to
could
do
technically
here is
play the game by
spend the next
yourself.
10 years
Yes,
and
and I
break out
love
of that,
that, honestly.
MMORPG category. I want this to be
Especially when
an
you're speedrunning
RPG
the
that
game
can
at
be
2 a.m. and all your
enjoyed
friends are
alone
sleeping.
or with friends.
Yeah.
まずなので、7.0 でまでの間、
Yeah, there you go.
フェイスシステムの大規模アップデートっていう
Ooh,
のをやってい
yeah.
きます。
So, as a lead up to 7.0 or until that time, we will continue to make updates to the trust system.
パッチ 6.1 から 6.5 までの5つのメジャーパッチで全メインクエストの必須 ID と
Compatibility for all main
の
scenario
透明性を
dungeons
全てフェイ
and
ス対応
4-player
します
trials will be added to 6.1
So
and
as it says
6.5.
here, trust
Oh, shit.
compatibility for all main
Jesus.
scenario dungeons and 4-player trials to be added in patch 6.1 through 6.5.
まあ順次なのでね、
Yeah, that is pretty
パッ
large
チ例えば
scale.
6.2 とかを見ると中途半端なところま
Maybe
でしか
after
対応
that
さ
would
れ
be
て
the
ないと
perfect
かい
time
う
for
こ
your
と
new
が
game plus.
ある可能性は高いんですけど、それにね怯えているといつまで経ってもできないので全部一気には不可能なので
Of course, Endwalker
なので
would
この
want to, everyone want
6.1
that
か
to
ら
be available
6.5 つま
first.
り 7.0 までの間を 次に飛び上がるために、
うん
もうどんどん順次やっていくという期間に当てさせてください。
And so, of course, these are going to be incremental implementation. And so you might look at, say, patch 2 point something and 6.2, and you might notice that maybe not all of the dungeons have been supported with a trust system compatibility. But if we are afraid to make progress and be just in the middle of work in a certain major patch update, we won't be able to make progress. I think it's impossible to do everything at once. So we are trying to address this as we can, and we're looking at this as a preparation for 7.0. And so we would like to ask for your understanding as we lay these foundations.
その第1弾となるパッチ 6.1 では新生オールゼア編のうち、
Nice.
That's
2.0
actually, yeah.
範囲をすべて対応します。
So the first implementation, patch 6.1, will make a Realm Reborn, and this is just patch 2.0 range, and the scenarios duty become
Man,
trust
that's actually pretty
compatible.
huge for a 0.1 patch.
そして
Holy
で
That
す
shit.
is
ね、
huge.
それに伴って一部初期のですね、メインクレ
Improvements
スト
will be made
ID
to
と
some
か、
low-level main
透
scenario
明性
dungeons
も
and
リニューアル
trials.
します。
And then
A-player
further
trials will not be
improvements will be
updated.
made to some low-level main
Those
scenario
updates will be
dungeons
considered
and
for 7.0
trials.
or later. Okay.
でちょっと注意なんですけど、
So A-player trials are
創世の
still
石ガルドに入ってからの
are still,
8人透滅戦
player-
ストーリー上に出てく
players instead
る
of trust.
あれらはちょっとやっぱり
Yeah.
コストを全見積もりしたんですけ
Which makes
ど、
sense.
どうしてもこう
I think
6.1 から
that's-
6.5 までの期
that's
間では
reasonable.
対応しきれないので、8人の透滅戦に関しては 7.0 以降順次対応していくつもりです。
You may see the disclaimers on the bottom, but for the 8-player trials, especially those with the Heaven's Word expansion, I'm afraid we are unable to update it at this time. We tried to calculate all the cost and the resources that it would take for us to address all of this within that sort of 6.1 through 6.5 timing, but I'm afraid we would be unable to allocate the resources for it. So we will get to it after 7.0. Yeah, these updates will be considered for 7.0 or later.
まあもちろん皆さんご存知の通り、その通常のねマッチングがなくなるわけじゃないので、あくまでストーリーを一人で進めていきたいっていう人のための機能なので、レベリングルーレットだったりねマッチングっていうところはそのまま継続していくので、そこはご承知おきください。
And of course, we don't intend to do away with the regular matching systems. Your leveling dungeons and queue matching in duty finders will still be active and available. These trust compatibility is primarily for those who have a strong desire to play through these story dungeons on their own.
で、ですね、8人透滅戦は今回行月のフィナーレでハイデリン透滅戦でテストケースとしても
Like, that's
含め
huge,
て
especially for
や
free
ったんですけ
players
ど、やれることは
that are literally like,
なんだろう確証を得られたんですけ
Yeah. No,
ど、
this is
まあ
good.
相当やっぱりコストがかかるっていうの
This is
と
good
リン
and
クから
bad,
調整していかないといけないっていうこともあって、まずは数の多
What's
い
bad about it?
ID から優先させていただいてます。あとはね、
you're
8人
losing
な
a
んで
lot of the interactability with
のかかり方がちょっと減るんでやっぱり。
with other
まあここ
people.
は
I find.
Yeah.
逆にマッチングの
Yeah,
面
that's
白さみたいなところも味わってもらいたいので、一旦
At the same
7.0 以
time,
降にさせ
even
てください。
the trust system in Shadowbringers and
Of course, with these
Endwalker,
8
a lot of
people
people still just
trials
do
or
matchmake all the
8-person
dungeons.
battles.
Yeah.
We did try it
Like,
out
it's
with
still
the
faster with
Crystal
people
trial,
because, you know,
and
everybody knows what they're
we
doing.
were
Yeah.
able to see
Yeah, like,
success
that's the
as
trade-off.
like a
You're
test
exactly right.
case,
It's like,
but
Yeah.
it
you
did
go faster
require
with
a lot
people,
of
it's just
resources
in
for
a
us to
trust
build
you're
it, and then if we
guaranteed
were to
to
start
get
applying
through
that
pretty
system
clean.
Yeah.
to existing dungeons, we'd have to adjust the mechanics so that it would accommodate for the trust system. So at this time, we made the decision to move forward with just the instanced dungeons. And with an 8-person trial, I think that sort of reduces the responsibility per person going into the match, hopefully. So we're hoping that players would still jump into like a duty finder and hopefully get the enjoyment out of matching up with random people. So at this time, we are unable to address it within the 6.1 through 6.5 period, but we are looking to it for 7.0 or later.
でちょっと注意なんですけど、
はい。
まあどうしてもフェ
Like
イスっていう
it's a
見
cool
方をす
feature.
る
It's
と、
just like
暁といけんのかなとか名のある NPC といけんのかなってイメージがちょっと強いと思うんですけど、ストーリー上こう
I find what it's
そのマッ
best
チング
for
でし
is
かいけ
if
ないからこそ、じゃあ
you
俺は
don't
他のこ
really
とをやっ
have
てくる
like
みたいな
if you're trying to level a
みんなちょっ
DPS
といなく
class
なったりと
and
か
you
して
don't
Oh,
have
it's-
the time to wait in queue,
あれまで
it's
全部
great
やる
to
の
level
さすがに無
the
理な
level
の
of the
で、
DPS class.
特に序盤とか
I know
は
some
super
days
good.
when I was playing it in the
冒険者ギル
morning
ドの
before
メンバー
work, I just
うん
like do a trust
暁
to
の
level my
光の
Reaper
なん
when
だ
I
ろ
was
う
leveling it.
こう
Yeah.
光の加護を持っているであろう他のメンバーみたいなイメージで組むケースが多いです。
But yeah, nothing will replace
And I want
the
to make
experience of being
another,
disappointed in your tank who forgets
point,
how to
of
turn on
caution
his
here. Whenever
Stance.
we say
tank
trust
stance.
compatibility,
If you
I
have
think
that up.
the
nothing will ever
thought
replace
that,
that.
oh, can
Oh,
we go into
man.
this dungeon with members of the Scions, or any sort of named
Or a healer who just
NPCs?
spams one
And
ability.
some of these story dungeons
Yeah, I did
have,
okay in that
key
dungeon.
players kind of leaving the scene, like where the Warrior of Light goes into a dungeon and say
2 EDs,
somebody
too
goes up
easy,
and say,
right?
"Oh, I'm gonna take care of matters."
Man,
Was a
I'll be
warrior
honest.
anyway.
You can't have them
I was so
come back
focused
just
on
to
hitting
join
my
you in the
abilities, I
dungeon.
wasn't even
So
paying
in those
attention to health
cases,
bars.
Especially the earlier dungeons, you will see your trust
As far as
members
I can
as
tell,
like
you did
members
fine.
from the
Just
Adventurers Guild, or
Don't let the tank
Don't
die.
say anything if you
other
fuck up,
people
I
who
won't know.
have the Echo accompany you in these dungeons.
ただまあキーになるストーリー上のキーになるポイントで、まあこいつはやっぱり本当はダンジョン一緒に行ってほしかったなってプレイヤーの皆さんが思ってるようなポイントは、シナリオ一部カットシーンも含めてちょっと変更してでもできるだけそれにまあ添えるように、やっぱりニーズヘックと対峙するときはエスニアンも行って欲しかったなみたいなやつはできる限りそういうシチュエーションはなんとか対応していこうと思ってるので、一部ねそれもちょっと変更する部分があるかなとは思います。全部は無理なんで、はい、そこはご了承ください。
But that being said, there are certain key points in the story where we do understand players might have a very strong desire to have particular NPCs accompany you in a dungeon. So in some extreme cases, and not extreme cases, but like some key points, the team will make some adjustments. We may have to change a part of the script so that it'll make sense for the character to join you.
Wait, what?
An example I can come up with off the top of my head is probably the Nidhogg battle. I'm sure a lot of people would have thought like, oh, it would have been nice to have Estinian join as part of the Trust NPC. So we're considering having that available. So there may be some content that accommodates for certain NPCs to join you. I'm afraid we can't address all of them. We can't make it happen with all of the dungeons. So your
They
understanding on that would be appreciated.
Might change some of the story to make sure
そしてですね
characters can be
ご
around
めん
for
ねちょ
the
っと長く
trust.
て、6.1 特集
Yeah, I think that's
パー
what
ト
they
1
were
の時
saying.
にまた詳しくお話ししようと
That's a
思いま
lot
す
of
が、
fucking going into detail for that.
That is a lot more work than they
結構
needed
今の
to
レギュレ
be.
ーションと違ってしまってるこうダンジョンとかが多いので、かなり手が入ってますいろいろ。
And of course, with the details of 6.1, we will have a dedicated live letter for that, and I will delve into details at that time. But I do want to mention that
I'm wondering
much of
then
the content, especially in the later
if they're
half
changing
of
story for the
ARR,
trust, are they going to change it
differ
so
in
that
how the regulation is set up. So
you
there
haven't
are
really
changes
played
that
through
have
Realm
been
Reborn,
made.
but for most of the story, the Scions aren't
トトラ
around.
クとかの、ドゥーンってなってる
They're just sort of off doing whatever.
ヘビースローがかか
So I wonder if they'll
ヘビ
change
ー
it so
がかかる
that you
床と
always
か
have like
なくな
at
ってます
least
One of the signs
3
with
or
you.
4 with you at
For
all times.
example,
Yeah.
like when you go into the Thousand Miles of Totorak, and you step on
That-
those
that-
like poison
that's me being
floors, and all
hopeful,
of a
but
sudden
that'd be cool.
you are hit with heavy or slow. We're actually getting rid of that.
まあ、あとは
Yay, thank God.
から
Fucking let into that
作ってちょっ
fucking
とライ
dungeon.
ティング良くないなとかいう
What
と
about
ころの
Cataract?
ダンジ
They're
ョンも
removing the
ちょっと絵的
slow
な
up?
They're
調整
removing the
それ
they're
なりにや
removing
って
the
ます
slow fucking puddles. You can just
And
walk
there
through
are
them.
also
Fuck.
some aesthetical
God.
changes that we wanted to make. There were certain areas of the earlier part of FF14.
Oh, are they going back
when we
and
were
fixing
trying to
those
quickly
shitty
just
dungeons?
relaunch as a Realm Reborn. So there were areas where lighting may not have been 100% to what we would have been satisfied with. So we went
you are
back in and
angels.
adjusted those as well.
そしてですね
Endwalker? No, we're gonna go
まあ
back to Realm
8
Reborn
人
and fix that shit for real
Oh,
instead.
that's amazing if they
What
if
the
they
fuck?
actually go in depth and start fixing the older content.
戦なんですけど、
Uh,
なくなります
And then one of the first 8-person party battles that you encounter, I believe, is Camp Westwind. And I want to mention that we are
don't-
doing away with that.
no, don't get rid of King Westwood.
帝国の盾としてね武人として
They better
あの
turn into an extreme
身を挺して
rum riding.
やってきた、ね、
Don't
帝
get
国
rid
将
of
軍の
that
一人
fight. What?
まあ将軍ではないけど正しくは8人でフルボッコはいかがなものかということでですね、
はい
ちゃんとコストをかけてですねクエストインスタンスバトルとして、
I'm mad.
生まれ変わりますので
Considering Litatine is like the shield of the Garland Empire. I mean, he's technically not a captain, but like, I mean, he's like a very prominent figure. I think it would be very humiliating for 8 people to come in and just beat him up. So we actually allocated the resources to rebuild that battle
Oh,
so that it's
Okay,
going
that's
to
better.
be a quest instanced battle
longer
that you go
mad.
in.
That's better.
まあ
That's
他に
better.
も内閣外閣と呼ばれ
I
て
saw
い
like
る
going into
8
King
人
Westwood though,
ダンジョン
just
あれらもです
destroying
ね
that
今
guy.
回すべて4人用
I
相
love
手に
going in with
直
the
してあり
people
ます
who have like the fake markers to set up.
And of course, the Praetorium and the Castrum Meridian.
All right, guys, remember the rotation.
Sorry, I can't pronounce it. Meridianum. Meridianum. Those very long Guardian bases that you need to go. They were originally 8-person content, but we are going to be changing it so that these are 4-person instanced dungeons.
So they're getting rid of the main scenario done. Well, they're not getting rid of them. They're just changing them to
4
four
人用と
mans.
してシナリオモードを
That's actually because they're the only 2 fucking 8-man dungeons.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So-
憑依したサンクレット
That's
さんを
actually a good
8人
idea.
ただひたすら無言で殴るっていうのもストーリー用のクエストインスタンスバトルとして
That
作
is
り
so
直してるの
cool.
で
大工事ですね。
はい
And so your battle with Ultima, or the Ultima weapon, will be changed to a 4-person battle. We are adjusting the scenario mode for that. And then where you go in and silently beat up La Habrea, aka Thancred being possessed by La Habrea, is also going to be adjusted so that it's an instance during a story quest.
Oh,
というわけで、
Yeah, that-
まあそんな
that makes more
風に
sense.
コストもですね
Instead of it being
レギュレー
like
ション
all
今のプレイ
one
フィ
big
ール
ass
にで
thing.
きるだけ近づけられるように
They're kinda making me wanna go back and do a new game plus.
6.1 から
Yeah.
6.5 にかけて、4.x までの ID ですね、全部対応していこうと思いますので
Especially if they're
よろしくお願い
reworking
し
the
ます
dungeons. Like,
yeah.
So,
we'll freaking
yeah,
go
in a
back and
nutshell,
get rid
we
of that
are
fucking
going
shitty spaghetti
in
goat
making
and
many
just
adjustments so that it fits
don't change Orm
with,
Vale though.
kind
Best
of follows
dungeon.
suit better with
Oh.
how the game feels
I'm
at this time. So throughout patch 6.1 through 6.5, we will be looking at the various content up to the 4.x series, the different instance dungeon to make adjustments.
さあではこのセクション以上で次へ行きたいと思います
Okay, so moving on to the next section.
Go.
2つ目の新しい挑戦ですね。この、6.1 から6.5までの
This is
期間
gonna be-
まあ
what are
7.0
they
リ
gonna
リース
talk
までの
about
期
here?
間を使ってですね、まず、まあ、貯
High
金をやっていく
def
上
cat girl
で
booty.
第一次のクラフトアップデートを、裏
We're
で
winning!
させていただきます。
So our second concept, and again, this is going to be the preparation that we will be doing throughout patch 6.1 through 6.5, leading up to the launch of 7.0. It is a long-term, or like preparations for long-term operation of the game, and we want to be doing this in the background, but we'll be preparing for our first graphics update.
ただ、まあ、なぜ第一次グラフィックスアップデートと言ってるかっていうと、
They already have
ま
the
あ
4K
二次も
UI,
三
so
次
what are they
も
gonna
あ
talk
るもしかしたら
about?
ってことなんですけど、なぜかというと、もうここまで11年運営してきてると、もう
They're
尋
gonna
常
give
じゃ
us
な
a
いリソース、
rundown
グラ
on
フィック
each
スアセットが存在してます。
pixel that they're putting into.
So the reason why we
Okay.
named this the
Imagine.
first graphical update,
Character
and
booty in
that's,
particular?
of course, to imply
It's gonna
that
be
there
like
will
2B
probably a
booty.
second and or
How it has
third
like 10
after
million
this, but
pixels, but it's gonna be cat
our game
girls.
has been in operation for about 11 years, and considering all the graphical assets we have produced, it's an insane amount.
やっぱり一気に極限まで上げようとすると、絶対コンバ
Oh, yeah,
ー
so
ト
lowering
ミ
the
スがあったり
polygon
と
count
か、
on
そもそ
everything?
もコンバートの物理時間が
You're all
足りな
gonna
く
be
て、もう
fucking
デザインチーム
Wait,
が
we're
little
これ
Mac
絶対できません
We're gonna be
っていう
little
答え
Mac
になってしまうので、
We're
Alright.
just gonna be
やれる
wiremen.
ことを一回やって引き上げたら、またその状態で安定が見えたら次に
I can dig it.
形で、まあその第1回目が来るんだというふうに思ってください。
No, we're changing the game to 16-bit.
And so if we
Oh.
attempted to update every
Oh my
single
God.
piece of graphical
That's too
asset
far.
or
That's too far
resource
back.
that we've put into the game all at the same time, we might run into issues of conversion errors, or it's just physically takes a lot of time to convert everything. And consulting with the graphics team, they already know that we can't address everything all at the same time. And so what we're trying to do is address these in phases so that we can test out certain elements, see how they work, and if it seems to be stable, we move into the next phase. And so I think with our first graphical
they're updating
update,
certain
this will be
zones at a
like
time?
the first time we start testing some of these elements.
4K グレープスでめっちゃ吹いたんだけど。
4K
I
grapes?
saw
Let's
a
go.
comment that says 4K grapes. Thank you so much for that. That was hilarious.
あそこに
4K grapes,
4K
let's
とかね
go!
なんか40万ポリゴンとかかけてると、それこそ Q14 みたいにキャラクター全然表示できねえぞってことになっちゃうので、まあちょっとこれから詳しく説明はしますよ。
That's hilarious, but like imagine spending so much resources just to get the grapes to be 4K resolution, and imagine spending 400,000 polygons just to depict a piece of fruit. We won't have enough resources to render our characters on screen. But let me go into the details.
Wasn't that actually a thing? Like it was a flower pot in 1.0 or some
そ
shit?
のグラフィックスアップデー
That was
ト
actually
は
The
一気に
grapes?
7.0 での
The grape, yeah, the
投入を予定
grapes
して
were
ま
a
す
thing, but like in 1.0
Oh,
there was
yeah,
like
yeah,
These
a
graphical
flower pot or
updates
something
are
that had
Yeah,
so
the-
many
the
polygons
one
and lagged the
implemented
game.
in
Yeah, it had more
7.0.
polygons than the player
まあその
characters.
次期拡張パッケージまで
God, I
の
forgot
間
about
という
that.
のを、まあ、僕らのそのグラフィックスのアップデートのシェーダー追加したりとか、いろんなものを追加していくテスト期間だったりプログラム期間だったり
Let's go back to those days.
それに合わ
Man,
せ
this
た
game
グラ
runs
フィッ
like
クスアセ
shit,
ット
but
の
that
コンバ
pot
ート
looks
期間という
great.
ふうにさせてください。
So until 7.0, this will be again our preparation period. So this is where our team will be testing out various additions to the graphical elements, including different shaders. We'll probably need to write more programs. This is where when we're going to be doing our asset conversions, etc.
でここが重要なんですけど、あくまでやっぱりマルチプレイのゲームであるっていうのをぜひ覚えておいてほしくて、やっぱり画面全体の美しさ、
aesthetic
9番から
appeal
申請
suited
した
to a
時
multiplayer
に
environment.
感じていただいたように、やっぱり総合的な美しさ、世界の美しさっていうのを追求
Those
していき
words
ますよ、コンセプ
technically
ト
form
と
a
しては。
sentence, but what do they mean?
Oh.
And of course, one
Did I even
key
read it right?
point that we want players to understand is
Did
that
I even
this is
read?
still a multiplayer game, and so
Yes.
we want to strive for the aesthetic quality of the overall picture and looking at the sort of beauty or the element, aesthetically pleasing sort of overall picture.
だってこうまさにね発売されたホライゾンのさクオリティでさ動くと思われたら困るわけだよ。あれで俺たち300人とか描画しなきゃいけないんで、いやできはするんだけど、みんなの PC 動かないよ。確かに。
Oh, there it is.
And I see games like Horizon Forbidden West, and I don't want to get people to think that we'll raise our graphic quality to that. It's amazing, yes, but imagine having to have to render 300 different characters on screen at the same time at that quality. And it's not physically impossible, but then I don't think it's going to run on anybody's PC.
そこは覚えといてね、みんなね。
So please keep that in mind.
ここをね、なんか勘違いされるのが一番怖い。
That's the scariest thing for people to kind of misconstrue.
で、当然なんですけど、アニメーションとか、まあその世界全体、画面全体の美しさっていうところにやっぱりアニメーションとかライティングシステムっていうのも大きく寄与していると思うので、この辺りもアップデートしていきます。
Yeah, makes sense. Minimum operating specifications will also change as of 7.
The sort of
We'll try to
overall
accommodate as
aesthetic,
broad range of
animation
hardware
is going to be a
specs as
key
well.
element we're looking at.
You can no longer
Lighting
run
is
this
another
game on your
element that we
potato.
want to adjust
Shit.
as well.
Not my
例え
potato.
ばアニメーションに使っている、よくねメモリがって言われ
But
ます
yeah, I
け
think
ど、
it'd be
メモリの割合をちょっと
unreasonable
増やす
for people to like, why doesn't Final Fantasy XIV look as good as my God of War over here?
ライティングが
It's a fucking multiplayer game. Like, of course it's not gonna look as good.
バックグラウンドのディティールがより見えてきて、
It's gotta render so
リソースに
much.
手を加えなくても綺麗に見えるみたいなところもあるんで。
Look, do you want your PC to fry? Okay.
So
Yes.
what we mean by different updates to
I want it to
animation and
blow up
lighting
whenever I
systems
turn this
is,
game
for
on.
example, I know people would
Was that your CP?
automatically start
Was that your
talking about,
CP?
oh
Fuck
yeah,
'em?
memory issues with animation.
Fuck
So
'em.
if we revisit some of the allocation of the memory for animation,
Yoshi, are
it
you
might
okay? You're
allow
pretty
us to
toxic
create
today.
emotes with a
You're
longer
very
animation loop.
Fuck 'em.
Or
Fuck 'em.
with lighting,
What's that?
they're
What's that?
just having more lights than we had originally set up would
Oh my
allow
God.
for details that would have been sort of
There's
washed
some
out
new
or,
like
not
Zemo
visible
stuff
because
that
of
I've been seeing that's like
insufficient
so
lighting
funny to me.
to kind of show up, and so that will allow
Oh,
for
word.
an improvement
Oh, word.
in the graphical quality without us even
God, his
having
copy
to
pastas are
adjust
so
the
good.
elements that are already in the game.
Oh, we're
まあ
Oh, word.
重要なところです
Swummer
スタンドアローンの
inbound.
ゲームクオリティにはなりません。これをですね、皆さん頭にすり込むために
This goes against the rules of Final Fantasy XIV. Oh my god, I
And
love
again,
Zemo.
very important point. I want to stress again, the new graphics will not be comparable to those of standalone titles. This is again very important. I want you to remember it. I want you to repeat it before you go to bed. That's
I'll
how
say it before I
much
go to
I
bed
want
every
people to
night, Yoshi
remember.
P.
まあとはいえやっぱりグラフィックスいろいろ手を入れて
Fuck 'em.
パフォーマンスというかね処理はより
Oh, what's
動作が
what's
重くな
another
る
one
はするので
that makes me
7.0
laugh?
では
He's
最低
like,
動作保
he's
証ス
like,
ペックの条件
bottom.
がまあ変わるのは確定です。
Nah,
ただ
he goes
で
like,
Bottom?
対応できる
Yeah,
get
him-
これまでの
get him a
ポリシーがある
sub.
のでステージ
Bottom.
でやっていきたいと思ってます。
VIP him.
So that being said, we do want to update the graphics for sure, and so that means your processor might require more power in order to render these graphics.
Oh no, I can't run this
properly
game off
or
my
like efficiently. So
school
we will
laptop
probably
anymore.
have to update the system requirements for your machines and your
The
PCs.
school laptop even run the games,
We
dude?
will try our best to accommodate for as many
You can
That's
run
a potato.
Minecraft,
models
man.
of machines
true.
to accommodate with the changes, but we do want to make you aware that it is pretty much guaranteed that we will have to update the system requirements.
でやっぱり気になるプレイステーション4なんですけど、この 6.x 期間中に、
I'm hoping they'll
先行
touch
投入すると
on
思いますけど、
updating
PS4 版の最適化を
the Grimoire
やっていきます。
Armory chest or whatever the glamour
And
chests
I know
are.
people are wondering about
Yeah,
PlayStation
the
4
glamour
support
plates.
as of 7.0. I think what's going to happen,
It's like
and this
even
will
me who
probably
only
be done
glamours like
prior
3
to
jobs,
the
I'm
launch of
almost full
7.0, so
Yeah.
sometime
in
within
my
the 6.x
glamour
series.
chest.
We do want to optimize the PS4 version.
There
for
was
sure.
there was one
で、
question in the
そ
forums
の
that
さら
was
にで
like,
すね、まあ、
is
PC 版に
there
あるように
with the
グラ
glamour
フィックス
dresser
オ
if
プション
we
のカ
put
スタムっ
stuff
ていう
in
の
there?
は PS4 版少ないんで
Is
す
there
け
a
ど、
way to
あれ
get
を
rid
増
of
や
role
してですね、
restrictions?
新しいその
Which
描画とか入れ
that
る
would
と
make that would open up
があるので、
so much.
重くても綺麗でいいやという人はオンに
That
して
would
も
open
らえ
up
ばいい
so
まあ
much.
まあオフにして
That'd be
そ
so
のフレームレー
nice.
トを優先するみたいなことができ
And
る
that's
よ
a
うにしてい
pretty
るの
reasonable
で、
question too.
PS4 のサ
They
ポートっ
posted
てい
that
う
in
の
the
も少
forums.
なくとも
So
7.0 の
It
that
might-
level
it
90
might get into
Gunbreaker
today.
jacket. I just wear that on every job.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, there are various graphical configurations that you can set up on the PC version. Like you can customize some of the like display options, and we understand that it's a bit lacking in the PS4 version. So we do want to implement options in the configuration so that you can select like prioritize frame rate, or
And
if you
I'm
want
thinking
to,
about that. Just like
if you-
having
if
a
you're okay
heavily
with
armored white
performance kind
mage.
of
Yeah,
dropping
that's what I
slightly,
want,
but
dude.
still have
Be a
the
battle
graphics
paladin or
performance,
sorry,
then
a
we
battle
can select
healer.
that option, whatnot. So I do want
It would look so
to
fucking
assure
cool.
you that we will
God, yeah. That'd
continue
be
I've,
awesome.
supporting
I've
for
always wanted to
PS4
have my
at
white
least
mage
until
look like a
7.0.
tank. Like
Oh.
Hi, how you doing?
some warrior light.
みんなどう思うんだろうこれ。
That's the
What people's
upgrade that
reactions
they're
are.
doing. That's actually very good. Holy shit.
俺かと思ったって言ってる。
Some people think, "Oh, is that me?"
Staring into my soul. I don't like
Yes,
this.
そうそう
it's
そ
a
う。
little
なんかさ、多分ね、
Don't
こ
look
れじゃないよ
into
ね
his eyes
多
too
分みんな
long.
求めてるの。
give him a
I don't
kiss.
think this is what we are looking
Give him a little
for.
peck.
This is not what we would desire.
なんか疲れた吉田って書かれてる。
Some people
Oh,
are saying
well,
this
that's-
looks like a very tired Yoshida.
そう、なんか違うでしょ。
Yeah, but it kind of does feel awkward.
Oh, that's not what they're
まあ
looking
こ
for.
こまでリアルにはならない。
Oh, right.
So we
Let's
aren't
do-
going to be working to
All right,
make
now
it
it
look
shows
as real.
super cartoony.
まあいわゆるフォトリアルを追求していくと、グ
Show me
ラフィックスアップデートってこっちに行きがちなんですけ
It's
ど
probably gonna look like
おそらく
Overwatch.
ファイナルファンタジー14の世界やキャラクターが気に入ってくださって
That would look great for
こっちを
16.
求めてはいないと思ってま
That'll
す
be more free
If you were-
advertising.
Yeah.
And some games, of course, their intent is to lean towards that photorealistic depiction, and people
Honestly, I think
tend to lean in this direction. But I think
the
for
people
those
who are
who enjoy
obsessed
the
with
aesthetic of Final
photorealistic
Fantasy
graphics
XIV, this is not necessarily
kind of suck.
what we want.
It's like not every
True.
game
Begin
needs to look
with.
photorealistic.
では、
It really
今
doesn't.
そのグラフィックスアップデートって実はテスト開
Like
発
even a
もスター
couple
ト
people
させ
I
てるんです
know,
け
they'll
ど
look at like
テ
some
スト
of
ス
the
タートしてからまだ
pixel
1ヶ
games
月
that I
と
play, and
1
they're
週
like,
間
why the
ぐらい
fuck
なん
do you
ですね
play that? It looks like shit.
So
No,
with these graphical
because it's a
updates,
fun
we're already
game, like,
starting testing.
graphics are
actually,
subjective.
Gameplay
and
first
it's
by
been about a
dude.
month and about a month and a week.
なのでその1ヶ月と1週間ぐらいテストをしてまあこれだったらもうまあ今出してもまあいけるだろうここまではとまあこれ以上を目指すんだけどまあ少なくとも一旦お見せしてもここまでは間違いなく大丈夫だよあると 7.0 でっていうのを用意してきたんでちょっと見ていきましょうか。
And so we are still very early in our testing stages, again, about a month or so testing, but we do have results that we're
Show us.
seeing that is, of course, we're going to aim higher than what we're going to be showing you, but it's I think it's coming out pretty nicely. And
Give me the
we
goods,
are
Yoshi.
relatively confident. So let us show you some of these images.
こちらがですねテスト期間1ヶ月目のサンプルですキャラクターですね。
Oh yeah, that's a pretty substantial change.
not
So
bad.
from first month
Yeah.
of testing. So this is one of the samples.
これ左が今で右が
Like,
テ
there's
クスチ
a
ャー
lot
をハイレゾリュ
better
ーション化
textures
して
on
ま
his
す
face.
髪の毛も含めてで
Mhm.
あとシェーダーを、
And the
1
lighting
枚
is
入れてます
definitely better.
And so what you're seeing is the current image on the left, and then on the right, we've made the textures high resolution, and we've added a layer of shaders.
あと、セルフシャドウって言って自分の髪の毛の影が顔に落ちた時、まあその自分のオブジェクトが自分に影を落とすのをセルフシャドウって言うんですけど、そこも調整してるので、結構ね、セルフシャドウ実はすごい気になってて、カットシーンとかでも。
And one thing that we did pay attention to was the self shadow, or whenever there's like an object that drops a shadow on yourself, especially if you look at the bangs and the shadow it casts underneath it. That was something that I was kind of I wanted to address looking at the cutscenes in the past.
でまあこれ1ヶ月目のサンプルなので。もっと上目指せるとは思ってるんですけど、動作保証あまりにも重くならないっていう意味では、今一旦お見せできるのはここまで。まあ、この上さらにいろんなしていて、まあ、やれるより高いところを目指していこうかなと思って。
Created by my bangs is not
So of
accurate.
course, we do want to strive for
This goes against Final Fantasy.
I think from 1 month of testing
ruins
and
my
making sure
fantasy.
that the game itself runs properly.
Oh my
I think this
God.
is what we can show at this time, and then we'll continue to test and we'll continue to
Okay,
sort
that
of
one on the right
improve
looks
and
really
then
good.
apply
It does, yeah.
optimization.
That is real good lighting. I like that.
彼でやるとこんな感じ。
A word.
Oh word!
Derplander.
Oh word!
で
Oh
ちょっと
my
ミコッテのサンプル。
There we go. That's what people
Girls.
waited for.
Here's a sample of the Mikote.
まあ戦月賞のボケ具合が、まあなくなったりですね。髪の毛の柔らかいそのカールの印象
Does it mean they look more pale?
まあセルフシャドウがボケてないんで、
That
綺麗に
might
か
just
か
be
る
the
と思います
lighting though.
I think it's the lighting.
Of course, you may notice the face paint. The war paint is a lot crisper now. And then, as mentioned earlier, self shadow is nicer. I think it's brings out
All
the
right, now show
softness
us a
of her
Lalafell.
face.
I want to be terrified in HD.
まあ
God,
これが
no.
だいたい
Please,
1ヶ
no.
月目だっていうのをぜひ認識
Oh,
して
there
おい
you
てく
go.
ださい。
Again, just to remind you, this is after testing for about a month.
This is what they came up with in a month. This is fucking insane. Insanely good.
It reminds me of how
やっぱ
the
まあ
characters
こ
would
の
look
方
in
向
one of the
性で良さそうよ
cinematic
ねやっぱりね
trailers.
みんなのコメント見てると。
Looking at everybody's comments, it seems like we are on the right track in terms of like the direction we want to take it to.
そうですね。Yeah, it looked like
でララフェルがね、
ね
一番難しいんです
Oh
よ。
no, don't get that away from me.
They're somehow more
And the
terrifying.
Lalafell was
Oh my
actually
God.
quite challenging.
なんかリアルにするところがなくて。
Better graphics does not play well with
No one
Lalafells, man.
has really to make it quote unquote realistic, you
Do
know.
not make the Lalafells realistic, please.
まあでも髪の毛綺麗になって
Oh God.
目の周りは
God, I
も
don't
の
like
すごく
that.
鮮明になってまあキャラメイクしていけばねもちろんいろんなパターン作れるとは思うんですけど
But I think the hair has definitely gotten more defined, and then the eyes has become very crisp, and it looks a lot more alive, so to speak. And with being able to character create, I think it will allow for players for a broad range.
そうね肌の感じをどこまでそのなんだろう本当にツルツルにするのかララフェルは、こう少しそうは言ってもちゃんと肌っていう感じを出すのかは、結構ね調整が難しいところだとは思ってるので、ただ皆さんが求めてるであろう方向性は理解してるつもりなので、しっかり種族ごとにですね調整しながらいきたいなと思ってます。
And it's still a challenge to figure out how do we depict the surface of their skin. Like, do we make it completely like flawless,
Turn them into
spotless,
actual
or do we
potatoes.
actually give it some
Turn them
texture
into
to make it look like skin? We want to believe that we understand what the players are looking for, but it is something that we still need to kind of explore.
まあなんて言ったってね11年も皆さんと一緒にこのゲーム作ってきてるんで、
そうですね
皆さんが求める方向は理解してるつもりではあります。はい。
But again, we've been with you guys for about 11 years at this time, so we want to believe that we understand what the players are looking for.
ですいません、ちょっとテスト1ヶ月目ということでですね、キャラクターサンプルとしては以上になります。またなんだろう、途中でね、ファンフェスのタイミングとかあればまた途中経過とかね、お知らせしていけたらなと思ってます。
So yeah, because we are still in the early stages of testing, as for character samples, that is all that we have at this time. We're hoping that we can continue to update everybody on the status. Perhaps maybe next time we can do it at like a fan festival or something like that.
じゃあ改めてですね、そのキャラクター、まずそのグラフィックス、第一次グラフィックスアップデートでキャラクターに関する表現のアップデート項目をお知らせしておきます。
Okay, so just wanted to recap all of the different elements that we look to update for our first
Okay, now give us a butt slider.
Graphical updates in terms of characters.
まずですね、全体的にテクスチャーを高解像度にしていきます。髪とか肌とか、それから今日ちょっとねご紹介できてないんですけど、装備品のテクスチャーの解像度を上げていきます。
So first one would be higher resolution textures, which includes hair, skin, and we weren't able to show any examples today, but we do want to improve the textures of the gear as well.
でさらにですね、これはシェーダーと呼ばれる、処理になってくるんですけど、質感の表現というのを向上させていきます。例えば肌、それから装備品の金属部分、あと布って、布用のシェーダーっていうのが実はあって、Q14 では入れてたんですけど、重すぎて外してるんですね。そろそろいけるだろうということで、布がもう少し滑らかに布っぽく見えるっていうシェーダーなどを今、研究トライしているところです。
And then the next item, and this is relating to various shader processing, which is improved material qualities, of course, skin, metal, and fabric. It's interesting because in the 1.0 or like the old version of Final Fantasy XIV, there was a shader or like a process that was just applied to fabric so that it would look the texture quality would look like fabric, but it was too heavy of a load on processing, so we had to remove it in the relaunch. But we're testing various ways to see if we can apply something like that to make fabric a bit more, well, smoother and more fabric-like. And we're still kind of researching and trying out various methods.
そしてですね、キャラクターに対してのライティングとシャドウの強化というのもやっていきます。特にね、見栄えに直結しやすいセルフシャドウに関してはすごくずっと気になってたんで。
Will be applied to old NPCs where possible from 7.0
And then again,
onwards.
lighting and shadow, better lighting and shadow effects, especially for the player's shadows.
まあさっきもお話しましたけど、できるだけプレイヤーの皆さんの今のキャラクターを持ってるイメージっていうのが変わらないように、綺麗になったな俺のキャラって思ってもらえるように。
So like you'll go back and look at an old cutscene, and it'll be like scuffed ass Thancred and your fancy ass character.
Oh, word! You missed something.
A word! We want you guys to see the graphical updates and think, oh wow, my characters look pretty.
注意点が2つあって、まず一つ装備品、信じられない数のアセットがあるので、あれを 7.0 までに全部コンバートするのは不可能です。
So 2 points of caution. The gear. We mentioned about updating the material quality of gear, but you know, there's an incredible, unbelievable amount of gear available for all of our player characters, and considering we'd have to convert them all, we will not be able to get through converting all of the gear by the 7.0 timing.
なので 7.0 で新しく実装されている装備っていうのは全て今回のグラフィックスアップデートを経た内容で作っていきます。なのでクオリティがより高いもので全部用意するつもりです。
So any gear that is implemented from 7.0 will have gone through the process of the updated graphics. So of course those will be of the higher quality.
ただし、できる限りこうプレイヤーの皆さんがミラプリとかをして おしゃれによく使っているものに関してはちょっと優先的にできる限り対応をして、またパッチ 7.x シリーズで徐々にその古い装備っていうのも新しい仕様に少しずつこう対応していけるようにっていうふうに思ってますので、ちょっと数年がかりで全体が上がっていくことにはなるかと思いますが、よろしくお願いします。
But we understand that there are certain glamours that people use often, so we want to look at those and try to get those done
Talking about the bikinis.
with a higher priority in terms of like which to get to. And throughout the 7.x series is when we will address the rest of the previous equipment or gear. So I'm afraid it will take at least a few years to address all of the different textures.
あと NPC です。今回ね
あー
プレイヤーのキャラクターみんなクオリティアップするじゃん、バーンって。NPC 全員も無理だと思っていて、70までには。
The other thing are the NPCs. I know we talked about updating the player characters and the graphics on those, but I'm afraid we're not going to be able to address all of the NPCs by 7.0.
まあ申し訳ないんだが、
That'll- okay, that
クオ
will
リ
be
ティの
funny.
高くなって
That's gonna be so fucking
That's
funny.
gonna be
なんて
funny.
順番が
Making a
回ってこない
new
NPC
character,
が
just
出
what
て
the
しま
hell's
うと思うん
going
ですけ
on?
ど、ちょっとそれも許していただける
I'm
と
in anime land.
So I'm terribly sorry to say this,
It'd be like
but
Kingdom
you
Hearts,
may
you're
start
walking into a
seeing
completely different world.
NPCs that have gone through the graphical updates and those that have not gone
We're
through the
we're
updates.
pirates
But
while they're
please,
in like
your
I don't know Toy
understanding
Story
would be appreciated.
or like
これをね全部やれって言うと、いやもう
Fucking
じゃあ
Mickey Mouse Land from Kingdom Hearts 2,
なっちゃうんで、
the
Yeah.
black
ち
and
ぐは
white
ぎっ
one.
ていうのが出ちゃうタイミングがあるとは思
oh
うんです
Timeless
けど、
River, yeah.
それをやっぱり
Everyone, wait.
承認していかないといつまで経ってもできないと、
What's going on here?
ちょっと許していただけると。なのでちょっとイルベルドはまだ
Like,
後
what
でいいか
what
な
happened? What happened to the music? It just sounds like Timeless River shit.
And if I were to tell my team that, okay, we need to do everything, then people are just going to throw in the towel and be like, no, this is impossible. So I'm afraid there will be times at which not all of the NPCs will have gone through their graphical updates and it might look a little disoriented or disjointed. But if I don't allow for that to happen, we won't be able to get to it.
Oh, that's
so
fine,
again,
Yoshi P.
if you could forgive us for
The game will look
going through
amazing like that. I'm
would
not
be
even mad.
appreciated. Like Airbird might not get his graphical update as quickly as maybe like the Sultana, but
テレジアデレジはっていう声
Oh,
が
they're
結構ある
playing
んです
Tower
よ。
Babel now. Let's go.
ただですね、残念なんとテレジアデレジってプレイヤーのなんだろうキャラメイクで作られてるんで、僕らが手を下さずともあいつ勝手にクオリティ上がってしまう可能性が高い。
some people are asking, oh, but what about Telegy Adelegy? And I realize his expression is part of the parts that you can select when you're creating your character. So because we're updating the player character facial parts, Telegy Adelegy is going to have his graphical updates already. So he may be an exception to those NPCs.
まあというわけでプレイヤーベースで組まれてるものは
I
ね必然的にそうなるんですけど、まあナナモさんとかはねやった方がいいかなとは思って
Sorry, I
ちょ
started
っと
laying
まだ
down.
精査までは
Probably couldn't
しきれ
hear
て
me
ない
too
ので
well.
ちょっとそういう状態が出るとは思うんですけどよろしくお願いします。
That guy's chilling. I like it.
So
I
yeah,
dig it.
any characters that are built based on facial parts or body parts that are available for players to utilize will probably be updated simultaneously with like the player character graphics. But there are certain key NPCs that we're also looking at. Maybe the Sultana, but we have yet to sort of assess, and we will continue to sort of explore the options.
でまあちょっと今日お見せしたのは繰り返しになりますがテストをスタートしてまだ1ヶ月ちょっとのデータなので、さらなるですねクオリティの向上に向けて他の種族も含めてですねテスト続行していきます。いずれ装備とかもねこんな感じになるよというのもお見せできればと思ってます。
But yeah, again, what we showed you was only about a month or so of testing. So we're hoping to provide you with more updates as they come in. Perhaps the other races, perhaps we can provide you an update with gear, etc. in
Yeah, seeing some
the not so
updated
far
gear would be
future.
cool.
でそうだなあとは結構コメントであったんですけど
Give us some
装
good
備の
old
干
plate
渉
armor.
なんとかしてほしいってあれは正直どうにもならないです物理エンジンを入れて
Yeah, the fucking
計算で
the
かわすし
early
かないん
game
ですけど
armors
そ
I
れ
always
をや
thought
る
were
とやっ
kind
ぱ
of
動か
cool,
な
but
くなっ
like
ちゃうと思う
they
の
didn't
で
look like
あとやっぱ
metal,
り
so it's like
装備の干渉を許可してる
Kinda
僕が
scuffed.
もういいとこれは
Yeah,
割り切っ
getting
てくれ
update
って
that's
言
on
っ
that
て
would
る
be
から
good.
今のペースで
Remember there's one early
アセット
level
ギアが報酬が装
50
備
set that
が
I
リリースでき
loved.
てるっていうところもあるので努力はしますが根本的にオフラインのゲームのようにはならないので、はい、そこはすいませんご了承ください。
And I'm also seeing comments about can you do something about like gear or equipment or like player characters like body parts interfering with the graphics of gear, equipped gear. And I'm afraid that is something that we cannot address fully. We would have to put in a physics engine in there, and that would cause for some of the characters to kind of not move properly anymore. And plus, I, as the director, have allowed for those imperfections to my team. I'm afraid we're just moving on with it, or else we won't be able to keep the pace in releasing these different gear and the different designs that is available. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's fair.
afraid
I don't
we
really care
are
too much
unable
about
to address it
clipping
fully
anyway. I don't know
to
about you.
match something
No,
that
it's whatever.
a like a standalone game. Sorry.
さあでは次はですね
Keep my character
BG
short
マップ
or
に
a
関
hair
わるところ
short
もテスト
anyway.
1ヶ月ちょっとのサンプル持ってきました。
Okay, we have more samples though. This time it's for various backgrounds and like map elements.
まずこれは単純に、テクスチャーとかに何も手を入れずに、配置できるライトの数を増やすっていうテストのサンプルです。
So this first image is a test of just simply the number of lights we can place in a certain scene without it touching any of the textures or surfaces.
配置ライト数をですね、複数増やすとこんな感じになります。
So we just added a few more lights in a
I like that blue
particular
light a
scene,
lot.
and
Blue light
if
is very,
what you
very
see
nice.
is in the right side of the image.
ライトがですね遠くに左側ね1灯しか焚けないので、ちょっと見てほしいのは手前側にあるデスクに影がほぼ落ちてないのが、右側複数ライトによってちゃんと影が出るようになってるでしょ。
So if you look at the one on the left, we were only able to place one light source in the scene, but in the picture on the right, we were able to place multiple lights to give it a more realistic look. And as you can see, the desk is now casting a shadow.
まあ当然分かりやすく
Yeah, I
上
even
の
noticed
方にライトさらに
I
1
wasn't
灯
looking
追加されてるのでまああそこまで作り込んでたのにライトが当たらないことによって全部
I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't looking.
Bright
まあ
light.
しっかり見えてくるようになるのでこれね多分プレイ
I'm
じっくり見
memorized by
て
the blue.
いないとというか受ける雰囲気が変わるのでこれによって。
Unga bunga blue.
And of
Unga
course,
bunga blue
I
light.
think one of the key changes that you can see is because we were able to place a light directly on top, you're able to see some of the details that would have been kind of hidden behind a shadow. And so I think with allowing for more lights to be placed, it will kind of give you a better impression of some of the atmosphere in some of these locations.
でさらにですねこちら今の現在の状態のティターニアですね。
Oh, Titania is a weird one to pick,
Next,
but okay.
you see Titania in her current in their current state.
でこれはシャドウです。シャドウのテストをお見せします。
So this is where we tested out how shadows appear.
まあ 影に使ってるテクスチャーの解像度と計
Jesus.
算を上げていくので、これぐらいくっきり見
Jesus,
えていくようになると思
Oh
い
my
ます。
god, that glow
Dude,
up.
put a bunch of heat
So
lamps
this
in
is
a
where
room.
we
Okay.
tested the texture as well as the calculation formula behind how
Oh
we're
God, no! Don't take me
displaying
back
the
there.
shadow underneath titanium. And we
can't go
believe that we were
back.
able to improve the quality and the resolution up to what you see on the right image.
さらにですね、これ複数ライトの
I blame myself.
もう今の14だと左の環境しか作れないんですけど、複
I
数
only
ライ
blame
トさら
myself
に
for
カ
that.
ラー変えたりしていくことで、右のようにね、かなり複雑なライティングの絵作りっていうのができていくようになります。
And as you can see,
That was a
we
fun
have
fight to
multiple
prom, though.
lights
Like,
again
we did
in
clear
this,
it and farm it,
updated
but like,
picture,
that was
and
a
then
fun
plus we
fight.
put some colored lighting. So
It was a
the
fun one to learn.
background is exactly the same, and it was
Wasn't a
actually
bad
quite
starting point for
intricately
extremes
built.
either,
But
I'd
by
say.
having these
Yeah.
different sort of lighting available to shine on it, you can see the
I'm just looking at
complex
this
details
picture and
that was
wondering how
part
the
of the
fuck all that
structure.
red got in there.
ちなみにこれ
I'm assuming it's because of the
ストーリー的には
freaking
左の雰囲気がいいなって
the
言っ
lights
てるコ
around
メン
the
トがあるん
room,
ですけど、
like the
実
sun
は
coming in.
この状態をさらにグレードア
Yeah,
ッ
you're
プさせ
probably right.
たバージョンを BG チーム
It's
作ってきたんです。
it's so bright.
ただ
It's
開
hard
発
to
者目
look
線
at,
で見ないと
honest.
分かんないからライトの色を赤
Like
と
when
か
I
に
was
して複数ライト
when I
が
was
混
looking
ざ
at the
って
left
るっていう
picture, I was
環
like,
境を
all right,
作
we're
ってく
probably
れ
gonna
て
get a
て
lot of like
僕がわざわざデ
maybe
ザイナ
some
ーが
lighter
センスを統一
blues
し
to
て
go
る
with
の
like
を
the
バラしたんで
the darker
デザイ
lighting.
ナー
No,
の
just
セン
winter
ス
red.
じゃないのでこれね僕の
Or just
プレゼン
glow
用だ
that
と
room
思って
up.
くだ
Just
さい
blow
デ
it
ザイナー
up.
の名誉のために
Blow it
模
up.
様ですね。
はい
Blow it up too.
One thing I do
blow
want
up
to
the
clarify
soundtrack
because
for
somebody
this.
pointed out they liked the look of
It's a
the
banger and you
original
know it.
Titania, where it has that sort of mood with
It's a
all
banger when I
the
want to go
muted colors.
insane.
Yoshida wanted to, or I want to point out that this is the developers actually brought to me an example of what improved graphics would look like with that stayed within the color palette of the original picture, but that's very much in the developer's perspective, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference of what has improved. That's why I had requested my designer to intentionally place red lights, something that's more obvious, just to show an example. So don't worry, this is
Yeah,
not what
okay.
we're trying to do. We're not trying to like destroy the
Just glow up the
atmosphere.
room.
The designer was very mindful about keeping the tone of the story, but I wanted a more like overt example. So just wanted to clarify that.
Just for
で
shadows
こ
of
れ
the
で
lights.
ちょっとね特に注目してほしいのが画面右の奥、上の方に見えてる
Don't like looking at red, UCB.
いただきたいんですけど
Is that what the chat's saying right now?
One part that I do want to point out, if you look at the upper part of the image,
Was you
where the
red
stained glass
Yoshi
is,
We prefer the colors
マップの
though.
ポリゴンは何も変わらないんですねテクスチャー解像度も変わってないです、
so
One
just
comment I
reiterating
caught
that
was
we have not changed any
the-
of the
the
polygons that are in
new
the map,
Phoenix raid is gonna burn
layout.
our
We did
eyes.
not
Oh my
improve any of the
God.
textures here.
Oh my god,
なの
yeah.
でライトを
It's already burning
複数
people's
置けるように
eyes.
なるだけで実は BG アーティスト
Orange
たちが
on top of
こだわって
orange on
作
top of
ってい
orange.
た箇所っていうのがより明確にちゃんと見えるようになるんですよ左は全部影で潰れてるんで
An
すけど
orange boss and an
元々
orange
ちゃんと
arena and
ある
orange
ん
mechanics
ですね
and an orange AoEs and the orange.
And so this is what I'm trying to show with this image is that
Whoever
by
decided that
being able
can
to place
go step on a
multiple
Lego.
lights in a scene, we are able to showcase the details that our background artists have put into the structure. So above these stained glass, you might see these sort of like tiered sort of molding on top, and the picture on the left, it makes it unnoticeable because it's kind of drowned in the shadows. So by being able to place multiple lights, we're able to accentuate those details that our background team has put into the structure.
ちなみにバックグラウンドアーティストたちはライトの追加をやっていこうって言ったらめっちゃ喜んでました。
おー
So when we were talking about adding multiple lights, the background team definitely had a very strong reaction to that.
よかった。
さあで次はですね、
あー
こちらは金属表現
Oh gosh.
をその質感を上げますというサン
Where's
プルにな
that
ります。
from? I'm going insane.
So
I don't
next
remember
sample we
that.
want
It
to
looks
show
like-
you
it
is
looks like one of the
how
treasure
we
maps.
depict
Okay.
like the texture of the metal.
こちらもですね、デザイナーの趣味というよりはですね、悪趣味なぐらい変えてくれって言ってるので、それをご承知おきください。
And of course, this again is supposed to be an example. And so I asked my designer to make it very gaudy at this point. So please understand it is not necessarily the
Oh.
designer's choice.
まあもともとやりたかったけ
That
ど、
does
シェーダー
look
がなくてできなかった
That does
の
look
で、
very
Yeah.
good.
これぐらい
No, the metal
ゴール
does
ドを
look
ちゃん
good.
と
Yeah.
やっていきますよと。
So up until now, we didn't have the
Other
proper
people. We
shaders
got a
to
yellow
apply,
room on
but,
top of
we
yellow
would love to
metal
improve
on
the
top
look
of
of
orange
metallic
mechanics.
surfaces. For
I can't
example,
fucking
gold
see.
here.
Yellow on yellow on yellow.
吉田の家
On
じゃん
orange,
だ
on
から
yellow.
オレンジこんなんだと
Oh,
してないわ。
People are saying, "Oh, is this Yoshida's house?" And I was like, "No, if I were that rich, I wouldn't be working."
もうこれ怖いもんで、今まで我々は左を金だと信じてまいりましたけども、
ええ
なんかもうブラスにしか見えないですよね。Yeah, actually, we trusted left side screen is gold up until now, but now it only see brass, not gold, no more.
まあこういう形で金属の、質感強化っていうのもやっていきます。まあこれはねとても分かりやすい例じゃないかなと思います。
Thank you for that. But yeah, again, we're trying to make improvements to the material quality, so the look of metallic
look at the
surfaces
door, too.
as well.
さらにですね、続い
They,
ては
they just glue up the
マ
whole
ッ
door.
プに使えるメモリっていうのも、
Alright, guys,
上限を
let's
上
make
げてあげようと思っている
everything
ので、そ
Glow it
れ
up.
によってですね、より多くのオブジェクトが
A
配置できるよう
literal
にな
glow
ってい
up.
きます。
And next was to look at the memory resources allocated to rendering a particular area on a map. And I'm looking to raise that sort of cap so that we can place more objects in a particular field.
Okay.
まあこれ左側が現在よくちょっとマトシャと出会ったりするところですけど、こんな感じになってます。これ現在ですね。
So the left side, you may remember your first encounter with Matsuya.
でそれがですね、今回このぐらいまではいけるだろうと。
They could
That
put a
would
lot
be
more
cool.
stuff in
And
there.
with testing,
Yeah.
we are seeing that we could possibly place more objects like these.
左と比べてですね、やっ
Even
ぱ
the
まず注
steps.
目点としてはその1枚のル
There's so
ープで
much more
作られ
detail.
たその階段状になってる部分っていうのがそれぞれ素材違い
So
を
woody.
しかもこう組み合わせで、ずらして配置したりすることによってこう使い込まれた感とかより出せていける。このあたりはね実はすごく大きいと思います。
They got a wagon.
And so in the left, you may notice that it's just a repeat layered on, like a repeat layered on top of each other. But in the updated graphics, you can see that we are able to place objects not exactly like on top of each other, but like you can shift it by a little bit. It'll allow for a more realistic depiction of the area has been in use. So this is actually quite it helps with like the immersion.
あとはそ
Immersion.
の床ですね、実は、
よし
床の上にもう
Immersion.
1枚テクスチャ
Six
ー
stairs,
を重ねて
Yoshi
ブレンドさせることでですね、床のこうひび割れだったり、細かい
Somebody,
今だとねメ
somebody
モリ
in
が
chat
ない
right
の
now.
で
Big
巨大
Dark
な床を
Knight.
1枚貼ってどうにか
Wait,
なると思うん
really?
ですけど、そこ
I
を
don't
さらにこ
Probably.
う質感上げていけるようになる。
Grapes.
I see a lot of
And then
grapes.
the floor or the
Grapes.
ground, with the graphical
Oh,
update,
yeah,
we'd
'cause
be
there's
able
grapes there.
to add
Oh!
another layer on top to
I just
give
saw
it
them
more
right there.
texture and kind of
Oh my
blend it
God.
in. So like cracks in the ground. Previously, we wouldn't have enough memory, so we would just
There's
have
your
to
4K
place one
grapes.
giant floor and deal with
There
it.
you go.
But,
We did
with
it.
the graphical updates, I think we'll be able to improve
We
on
did it,
the
boys.
texture quality as well.
Grapes
そ
2022.
してですね、続いてがちょっと BG でお知らせする最後になるんですが、
Next is, I believe, the last set of samples that I've seen
Show
for the background
grapes.
elements.
Show,
こ
show
ちらで
grapes.
す。我々開発チーム最大の
Flowers.
敵、自動草って呼んでるやつ。
これは
So this is one of our pet peeves, arch nemesis, I should say. These are like these automatically generated grass.
これがですね、カットシーンのチェックをやってるとですね、割り込んでくるんですよ。自動で生やされるんで。多分カットシーン作ったスタッフの時には生えてなかったんでしょうけど、
はは
僕がチェックする時は生えててですね、このジャギジャギがすごい入ってくるんですよ、カメラに。
And this is so, it takes away from cutscenes when it barges in. I'm sure when the cutscene team is creating the composition, they don't see the grass because this is just automatically generated after the fact. But sometimes it's like so close up and it's so pixelated, and that pixelation it bothered me very much.
今回もね、実はちょっと裏話ですけど、
はい
まあエルピスでヘルメスにね、
うん
メーティオンにせがまれてエルピスの花をこう見せる
はいはいはい
シーン、夜空でね、あるじゃない。で、ヘルメスがこう仮面
I'm
を
for
外す。
4K grass.
あそこがですね、何度チェックして
4K grass or
自動
4K
草が入っ
grapes?
てくるんですよ。で、
Shit.
頭したんで
Both.
BG 班に頼んで
The grass is
草
replaced by the
生やさない
grapes.
前提にしてくれって。
あ、なるほど。除草剤を撒いてしまったんですね。
So one behind the scenes comment I wanted to make when I was looking at the cutscene in Elpis, sorry spoilers, but Hermes, when he's talking to Meteon about, oh, I want to show you the flowers in Elpis, and he removes his mask, and the grass automatically generates, and it gets in the way. So I got so mad. I told the background team, like, can you make it so that you don't have grass being generated in this part of the ground?
で、それがですね、今まだテスト中ですが、
おー
こんな感じにな
There's
り
your
ます
4K grass.
But
4K
that will
grass,
be
baby, let's
updated,
go.
hopefully. Again, we're still testing, but this is a sample image of what it could look like.
で、まあ種類もね、複数持てるようになるので、
This is a
これね、
humongous
草原から
improvement.
上は何も手入れてないんですよ
Holy shit.
向こうに見える木とか、全く今のままなんですけど、まあこんなに変
Yeah,
わ
that's
る
some
んですよね。
thick grass.
It's so thick.
So, and plus, we are able to generate
seas even,
a
you might say.
variation of different grass or plants. And so, while we haven't added or modified anything in the background, like the trees and the field in the background have not been modified, the look of it is different because of how we can process these automated grass.
これはですね、自動草そのものを
The
入れ
other
替え
things
る
are
の
good.
で、
The left
修正
side
か
just
ら
looks so
行列まで
pixelated.
全ての
あ、なるほど。
マップで
So
自動で生えてる草が綺麗になり
Yeah,
ます。
so many times I'd be running around an area, look
And
at
for
the
this
grass
update,
and
we
be like,
will be
man,
replacing the system that
doesn't look
generates these
now you
grass or
look down, look at
plant
it, look
life.
how thick that
And
is.
so this should
Now
be
I can
applied
touch
throughout all of
grass
the
in my
areas
video
from
game.
A Realm Reborn
Yes.
throughout Endwalker.
さあではバックグラウンド実はねまだあるんですけど、ちょっとどんな表現バックグラウンドを上げていくかというのをお知らせしておきます。
We've done various other testings in terms of background elements, but allow me to summarize again.
まず先ほど、サンプルでも見ていただきましたライト配置数の追加、質感凹凸表現ね雰囲気の強化っていうのがこれによって、行われます。
So again, we are going to be doing additional lighting points, so improved visual quality, depth, and immersion.
そしてですね影の高解像度化影のテクスチャーを高解像度にすることでですねちらつかなくなったりですね
I think maybe even just
影がよ
improved
りメ
lighting
リ
is
ハリが
gonna
効くようになります。
make it look a lot better.
Yeah.
And then higher resolution shadows. And so we'd be improving the texture of the shadow and how it's depicted so that it will allow for like flickering, decreased flickering.
ちょっと嘆きの海のマップを思い出していただきたいんですけど、あそこ実は雰囲気を宇宙空間にするために、ライトの距離をすごい遠くして、全体の暗さをこう締めるようなことをやってるんですけど、結果そうすると影がものすごく長く表示されるんだけど、テクスチャー解像度が低いがゆえに すごいじらついたりボケたりする箇所が結構多い
Oh,
んで
they're
すよ。
playing Zodiac
た
in
だ
the
雰囲気を優
background.
先したんで我慢してたんですけど、そういうところがですね、
Let's hear some
よ
of
り
that.
綺麗にちらつかずに影が出てくるようになると思います。
So if you would recall Mare Leventorium and how we were trying to depict or make it seem like you're in outer space and make sure that the lighting had been placed in a very distant location so that
Oh,
we emphasize that sort
starting to
of
feel it.
darkness that
Yeah.
surrounds you.
Starting
Because
to
of
really feel
that,
it.
whenever you're on the moon,
I think I'm gonna
your
need some
sort of
more
your
caffeine
shadow
soon.
gets to be very long, but because the shadow textures were not optimal, you would see frequent areas that would cause the shadows to flicker or it could get blurry. So with the graphical update, we're hoping to improve so that those shadows would come out a lot crisper.
I think we're almost done this
そ
section
し
though.
て質感表現の向上
I think we're
です。
getting
これも
there.
シェーダーでですね、金属とか布とか、まあそれ以外のちょっとシェーダーも今検討してます。
Does
And
this
then,
song
of
give any
course,
flashbacks to when
improved
we first
textures,
cleared that?
which includes metals,
Yes,
fabrics,
every
and
time.
we're also trying to consider what
Snake!
other elements
We guys
can
lost
we improve.
snakes!
そして最後にご覧いただいた自動
Oh,
配
we're doing
置、植
sick.
物の強化、高解像度にしたりですね。
I still, I honestly, I
種
still
類を
don't
増や
get
したり
that.
していきます。
Lastly, more
Yeah,
and better
I still barely
auto-generated
understand
greenery,
it.
which is increased resolution, variety, and etc.
で、画面全体にフィルター効果として非常に重要なアンビエントオクルージョンっていう機能だったり、フォグ、いわゆる霧をこう重ねるみたいな、そういうフォグって言うんですけど、これらに関しては今テストをしてるんですけど、まだちょっとサンプルをお見せできない状態です。
I am become Zodiac!
And we're also considering
I
other
did it.
effects or filters that would
Trying to remember
apply
what else he
to
says,
the
but it's been so
overall
long.
screen, including ambient occlusion.
I
and
almost said a
fog
test of your
effects.
reflexes,
Now,
but that's
those
another
are
fun.
still being tested, but we couldn't
A
produce
test of
results
your
that we can
reflexes.
present at this time.
めちゃくちゃ雰囲気出るし、めちゃくちゃクオリティ上がるんですけど、やっぱ画面全体にパフォーマンスの影響を与えるものなので、
thank you, chat. They got me
慎重にテ
covered.
ストをして、しっかりこれだったら大丈夫だろう。その皆さんが極端に PC を買い替えたりとかしなくても、あとオプションでね、ちょっと切ることで軽くできるとかっていうのをちゃんと用意した上で、
Will you
ここまでやり
live
ます
to
よってい
see
う
the
のをちゃんとお
end?
見せ
Yeah, he
で
says
きる。まだちょっと1ヶ月じゃそこまではいけないので、
The Great
ただこれらの強化は
Cataclysm
していきます
finally
ので、
faithfully
また続報を
recreated.
お待ちいただければと思いま
There you
す。
go.
And we totally understand that it will
The
give it
instruments
a
of
different
salvation,
sense
tolling
of
the death
atmosphere,
knell
or
of
it would
all
really
creation.
improve
Will
the
you
mood
live to
if
see
we
the
had
grass?
those kinds of textures applied or those filters applied. But
What
it
I
does
saw is, will
affect
you live
the
to see the
overall
grapes?
performance of the game. So we will need to test it very carefully for sure. So
All
we
of the
want
grass
to
bends to
explore
my
our options,
will.
but we also want to make sure that we are
Oh
at
my
a state
God.
where we're comfortable and not requiring for so much resources that players would have to like update their PC
It's a great song to
to
talk
an
to this day.
extreme, or be able to provide an option to shut it off if you want to
That's hilarious.
optimize your performance. So I'm afraid we're not able to show you anything as of like a month or so of testing, but we're hoping to bring you updates further down the line. So yeah, if you could please stay tuned for that.
I think Yoshi's looking at chat. He's like, "What the fuck are these guys talking?"
今日お伝えできる範囲としては、ここまでとさせていただきます。
Okay, so in terms of the graphical updates and the preparations that we're making for it, I think is all that I have for today's presentation.
Did we make it?
さあでは続いて、3つ目なんですが、まあ、引き続き
What the-
多くのアップデートはこれまでと変わらずですね、
Oh, never mind.
適切なスケジュールでお届けしていきますよというお話です。
So yeah, we will continue to provide regular updates on an appropriate schedule.
せっかくの機会ということでですね、
はい
ちょっと 6.1 から
Death Unto Dawn,
6.5まで
Reflections in
現状決ま
Crystal,
っているものでお知らせできそうなものをお
Defenders of Eorzea.
知らせしておこうと思います。
The legend
So I would
returns.
like to share information that we know that we're going to have from 6.1 through 6.5.
まずパッチ6.1 なんですけど、こちらね、
Hildebrand!
リリースタイミングが読み切れないと思うんですけど、皆さん、4
We're
月に
getting
は
more
出します。
Hildebrand,
はい
motherfucker! Let's go!
Hildebrand
So
Pog?
'Hildebrand Fog!
one series. I
Tatsu's
understand
Grand
that,
Endeavor?
it's still
What
kind
the
of hard to
fuck?
see
Oh,
when
no.
it's coming,
What?
but we are looking at April at this time.
Fucking chat,
当然ですが、
Tataru
メインクエストのアッ
EX.
プデートっていうのは
Tataru
6.1 から 6.5 まで新しい冒険をお
You mean
届けしていこう
Tataru
と思って
EG?
ます。
Of course, part of those updates
Oh
will
god, it's
include
even worse.
the updates to the main scenario. We will have a new story with each patch installment.
そしてですね、全世界から帰ってこいと言われていた、事件や紳士ね、ついに帰還でございます。ヒルディブランドの行月編が、始まります。
Of course, we've heard many people ask for him to come back. This gentleman extraordinaire, Mr. Hildebrand, will be making his return.
新
Yay!
しいサブクエストシリーズとしてですね、
Yay!
タタルの
He's
大
back
繁
from
盛
the
の
dead.
焦点というのが、連
More,
続として始まりま
more
す。
Hildebrand, more Gilgamesh. Come
And
on.
then, of course, a new series of side quests named Tataru's Grand Endeavor.
ちなみにヒルディブランドが
Tataru's
最後に
quest line
目
is
撃され
gonna
た
be
の
going
は
around
パッチ
scamming
5.3 で
people.
実装された漆黒決戦ノルブラントでエリディブスによって召喚された中に
いましたね。
確率でたまに出てくるんでね、あいつID の中に、あそこですね、最後に目撃されてるのは。
I believe the last last time Hildebrand was seen was in patch 5.3, the Hero's Gauntlet. And this is a random occurrence, so you may or may not have seen him. But when you are doing your Warrior of Light battle, he is one of the people that is summoned.
さあ、どんな
Wait,
is he?
ね、珍道中になるの
Wait,
か
what?
楽しみにお待ちください。
But yeah, we hope you enjoy whatever
Wait, what?
odd adventures that he gets into.
まあどんどん行きます。
We need to redo that
パッチ
fight.
6.1 まだ
What
まだあ
the
ってですね、
I knew he shows up during the dungeon, but during the fight?
12子にまつわる物語ですね、スタートします。
Continuing with patch 6.1 updates, we will have our Alliance raid, Myths of the Realm, part 1, implemented. This is going to delve into or touch upon the mythos of the 12 gods.
I hope that
そして
alliance
新
raid is cool.
PVP のクリスタルコンフリクトというのが、
Yeah, the new
スタート
PvP mode,
して
new tribe
蛮族
quests,
クエストあるか
Dragon's
そうだら
Dragon Song's
あって
Reprise
絶は本当お待たせしまし
is
た
the first ultimate.
レイド大好き
which
勢
we're not doing, right?
本当お待たせしたんです
I
が
can't wait to
最
not
新
do
絶
it.
リリースし
Can't
ま
wait to
す
not do it.
And so next is
We were
the
so
new
hyped
PvP,
to
the
do
Crystalline
Savage
Conflict.
this time
We will
around,
have a
but
new
like
Beast Tribe quest.
we just fell
or
off of
like
the
a
game.
new tribal quest.
I think we can. I get
Arthesodara
because we were burnt out, but like
tribe quests in their dailies, and then a new ultimate content. Thank you so much for your patience. Our new ultimate duty will be implemented as of 6.1.
ゲームはねアルテマになりますがもうバランスチェッ
Part
ク
of
も
our
終わ
plan
っ
to
てい
do
て
Savage
結
was
構
to
む
play
ずい
with
で
your
すよ
friends that were on the other server or a data center.
And of course,
Yeah.
But we never
we
got the
will
data center
finally be
transfer.
reopening the Unreal battles. Ultima's Bane will be what's
Hopefully we
coming
get it
for the
before.
next battle. We are currently
more than
testing this
6.2,
out, but it's
yeah.
quite challenging.
it'll probably be the
アルテ
next
マレポ
major
ってもともと
content
結
patch.
構初期に時間のない中で作られていて IL が
Are
結
your
構
other
みんな
friends
上がって
still
る
playing
ん
the
で
game
い
or
ろいろギミック無視
they
して
I have no
ま
idea.
した
I
被弾してもそん
have
な
no
に
idea.
なんですけど
Uh.
レベル90でバランス取り直してきっちりアイテムレベル確定させたらねやっぱ面白いしやりごたえあるなこれって感じでしたよ
We got a decent group.
Of course, when we
Try.
first designed the Ultima Weapon fight, it was done in a rush. And then by now, I think people have raised their item level. So even if you take damage, it's not as bad. But with the Unreal battles, we have adjusted the boss fight so that it matches that of a level 90 player. So, and we've kind of finalized the item level. So testing it out, I enjoyed it. It was a very interesting battle, and it's very challenging for sure.
でも今ちょっとコメントであったんだけど、
はい、
蛮族クエストっていう蛮族っていう呼び方やめたいなっていうコメントがあって、確かにそうだね、
うんうんうん、
ちょっと考え直そうメモっといてもらっていいかしら。 はい表現変えていきましょう。
There was a comment about the Beast Tribe quest, and it seems to not be very favorable to call it that. I know we're trying to shift it to say tribe quest, or like we're just calling it by the tribal name in the English, but we are going to try to figure out a better way to phrase it.
Is all this coming in
そして
6-1?
絶なんですけど、
はい。
まあ、
Yeah.
めっちゃ調整続いてるんですけど、
Oh shit.
So there should be more stuff.
一番難しいと思うんで、やる方は覚悟をしておいてください。
And it's not maybe
And I
maybe
wanna
6-1
backtrack
and
a
then
little bit to
6-1x.
the ultimate duty, the new ultimate duty,
'Cause there might
and
be-
we're
there might be some more stuff.
balancing right now
What else
and
were we
making adjustments.
expecting?
But it's quite difficult.
Housing.
So if you're up for a challenge, that's fantastic. But yeah,
maybe
it's
deep
going
dungeon?
to
I don't
take
know.
some.
Probably
it's,
not that
it's
one.
going to
might
get
be
6-2.
challenging.
I think you are right. I think
実は
housing was confirmed, but
6.11 かな。
I think they said
They might
something
have-
about Deep
Oh,
Dungeon
I'm sorry.
is coming, but I
Ultimate
still
would
know
be
when.
not 6.1, but
Yeah.
6.11. So it might. It's probably not at the same time as the major patch.
まあ、メインシナリオをやったり、
はい
ハウジングの抽選に応募したりとかすると思うので、
Housing
2週間空けて出す予定かな。はい。
We are hoping that players would enjoy the main scenario first, and then 6.1 is also when we open up the
Yeah.
Ishgard housing. So I'm
Okay,
sure people will
6-1.
want to sign up for like housing plots. So we're going to wait 2 weeks after the launch of the major patch and then release the ultimate duty.
まだまだあってですね、6.1、まあ、さっきお伝えしたメインクエスト ID のフェイス対応 2.0 半やって、それ以外のID もちょっとグラフィックスの調整とかいろいろやってます。
A new custom
So
delivery
continuing on
MVC,
with the
okay.
6.1 series updates.
Calling
So
card
the
style
main
UI.
quest, the trust system
Nani?
for A Realm Reborn patch 2.0
Imperium housing
main
is
scenario
mentioned,
dungeons.
but I don't remember what it was.
そして新しい
Yeah.
リワードシステムとしてですね、キャラクターカ
I
ー
think
ド
it's
って
like
いう
a new
システム実装
like
が、ドーンと始まり
player
ます。
profile when you click on someone's name.
And then a new calling card style UI. So this is going to be a new reward type system that we plan to start implementing.
まあこの辺の詳しい内容はね、3月4日からのまたパッチ 6.1 特集パート1、パート2の方でお伝えしていきます。そしてお待たせしたロスガルの、新髪型対応がスタートとなります。
So for this calling card style UI, this is something that we'll cover in our next two live letters. There's one definitely planned on March the 4th, and we'll do like a 6.1 feature, part 1 and part 2. So we'll delve into details at that time. So next item would be new hairstyles for Hrothgar. Thank you so much for your patience on this.
そしてハウジング、石屋ガールドハウ
All
ジングが開き、
10 Hrothgar
お得意
players
様
rejoice.
取引はなんとアルフィノ・アリゼのお母様であるアメリアンス
Rivieras
編となります。
The next two items is the opening of Imperium or Ishgard housing, and then custom deliveries. You get to meet with Alphino and Alizé's mom, Amelians.
新 PVP はいつですか、まあ、またちょっと PLL で詳しく言いますけど、6.15 を予定してます。はい。
We had a
Neutrals
question
and
about
other
when is
sort
the
of
new
updates.
PvP going to go live. Again, we'll
New
cover
Extreme,
this in
let's
the
go.
upcoming other PLLs, but we are looking at 6.15 timing for that.
まあ、それ以外にもですね、透滅戦など多数のものが、まあ、透滅戦名前言えないですけどありますんで、ぜひご期待ください。ここまでが、まあ、6.1 のざっくり概要です。はい。
And of course, new trials, we can't say what, but other assorted updates are planned for the 6.1 series.
そして続いて 6.2 ですが、こんな感じになってて、まあ、一番の注目はやっぱりお知らせしていた、無人島開拓が 6.2 からスタートになります。
Trust system for 2.0
So next up
dungeon.
Yo,
is the
wait.
6.2
New Criterion
series.
dungeon
This
with
is one
variable
of the
difficulty.
large, like the anticipated content, I believe, is the Island Sanctuary. That's when we're
And it's
going
1
to
to
start
4,
opening
so
this
solo
up.
player content?
昨日全体を一通りチェックしましたけど、めちゃくち
Maybe
ゃ
that's
で
the
かい
new
んで
deep
けど、
dungeon.
New weapon
だいぶね、組み上が
enhancements.
ってるんで、もう
I had the opportunity to check the overall sort of content yesterday, and it's quite large scale, but I think it's coming along nicely.
またちょっと、今日は時間がないのであれですけど、詳しく説明する機会は取ろうと思いますが、基本的には外の世界と全く異なる
Oh, they're playing the
そこ
moon
だけで
battle
完結
theme.
できる遊びになってますし、まあゆっく
Yeah.
り本当にゆるくやれる
I
ので
just I just love it's just the Final Fantasy IV battle.
So I'm afraid we don't have the time to cover it today, but we will take the time at another opportunity so that we can explain the details of this. But it is going to be a different sort of area that you can
It's the
enjoy,
Super Nintendo version too.
and
It's
it's
just, that's
very
so funny to me.
self-contained sort of content that you can enjoy.
I remember having a good
で
time with
まあ
that. Yeah.
2.x 残り新生オルゼアの 2.x シリーズのメインクエスト ID を全部対応し、想定編にも突入します。あとは武器強化コンテンツの新しいシリーズをスタートしますとかですね。
So going back to the earlier bullet points, we will be applying the trust system for the 2.x main scenario dungeons, maybe partially into Heavensward. It says here.
ああそうだもうね多すぎて入れてないんですけど、ミラプリの拡張もね 6.1 から第1弾始まるんで言っときます。そういうの。
よかった。
Oh, we also want to mention we will be expanding on Glamour's Glamour ミラプリのごめんなさいミラプリはグラマープリズムの方でしょうか。
ね
言えない感じですか。
第1弾はプレート増やすをやっていくまず第1弾。
So glamour related updates. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure how to phrase it, so I squeezed it out of Yoshida-san. We will be addressing and expanding upon glamour plates as part of the first glamour related updates in 6.1 series.
まあちょっと全部書ききれないけど、
There you
いつもの討伐と
Thank
滅
you,
の語
Yoshi.
があるとかいうのは、
Go
まあ
the
いつも通り
people
やって
at
くんで、
over
まあその辺は
all the
書かれて
people
なくて
asking
も
for
ある程度
glamour
もらえると
updates.
助かります。
It's in 6.1.
And of course, we
Oh,
will
what?
have
Oh,
whatever
what?
content that
Oh, we're
you
all
can
the
expect in
glamour
patch updates, so like new
addicts.
trials, etc.
You
It's not
have
written here
more
because we
space
couldn't fit it all
for
in
your
the slides,
glamour.
but, yes.
収納数増
Patch
やすトライもしてるから、
6.1
ごっ
series.
そりどっかのタイミングで増やします。
Oh my god.
And we're also looking at like how to expand upon like
You
the
now
number
have more
of
space
sets
for your naked
stored.
cat
So
course.
we're hoping to find an opportunity to do that update, like not an overhaul, but like an update on that as well.
そしてですね、さりげなく書かれてる新しいこの 6.2 から新しいバトルコンテンツ、タイプが全くこれまでと違うコンテンツを今開発中です。
And then the fourth bullet point, it's just kind of snuck in there as part of like the updates, but it's a new thing that we're trying to do. It's a dungeon with variable difficulty.
これ難易度可変ダンジョンって今開発コードネームなんですけど、1人から4人でチャレンジできて、1人で行く、2人で行く、3人で行く、4人で行くっていうので、自動的にそれに合わせて難易度がコントロールされるっていうチャレンジ型のコンテンツになります。
And so the code name that we're using here is like Criterion Dungeons, but so you can attempt this with 1 to 4 people, and what makes it variable is that if you go in, depending on the number of people you go in with, so 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, the difficulty sort of varies. It will automatically scale, so it's like a content
interesting.
where players can sort of challenge themselves.
まあこちら
Interesting.
も組み上がってはきてるんですけど、まだ調整いろいろチェックやってたりするんで、まあ 6.2 に近づいてきたらしっかり特集していきたいと思います。
It is coming along nicely, but and we're still performing checks on the content. So please stay tuned for new information as they become available when we can talk about 6.2.
そして 6.3 になるとですね、
Interesting.
メインクエストの ID フェイス対応が想定編をここで完了させる予定です。
Oh, the Dungeon Series 3 and
And then
6.2.
moving
Oh,
on to
Okay.
so the other
6.3,
thing is
so,
different.
We continued to
Okay.
add more trust NPCs. We should be able to address the remaining main scenario instanced dungeons in Heavensward.
でかいのはですね、世界中からですね、ディープダンジョンシリーズの新しいのがやりたいという
Deep Dungeon
声をたくさん頂戴していたの
Ultimate
で、今企画をやっている最中
Island
です。
Sanctuary
ロクテンさんで、ディープダンジョンシリーズの第3弾実装予定です。
And they're just cranking out the
And
content.
then,
Yeah, they're just
players
like, yeah,
from
here
around
you
the
go.
world had asked
Here you go.
about
No
when
Blitz
do
Ball,
we get a
but
new
here,
deep dungeon.
have a whole bunch of stuff.
And so we are in the planning phases at this time.
Oh, word!
We're
I
hoping
want
to
Blitz
launch
Ball.
the third in the series of deep dungeons
Yo,
at
no, I'm gonna lie, if we got
6.3
Blitz
series
Ball.
timing.
そしてですね、すでに、開
I
発
would play the
ス
fuck
タ
out
ー
of
トして
that.
進んでるんですが、Z シリーズの第5弾を、6003でリリース予
That
定
would
で
be
す。
fun, but like
And then
I would
we
need to
are
play Final
already
Fantasy X
starting to
again
make
to
plans for
know what the
this,
fuck
but
I'm supposed to do.
we do intend on adding one more ultimate duty. So this will be the 5th one in the series.
そしてですね、
Two
6.2でリリー
Ultimates.
スされた、無人島開拓のアップデートももちろん行っていきます。
And then, of course, because we will be opening up the Island Sanctuary as of 6.2, at 6.3 series timing, we will continue to update it.
でまあ、4と5はちょっとパッチ 6.4 と5はまとめてのご紹介になっちゃいますが、この4と5で
Conclusion to Pandemonium, Further Mists of the Realm,
全部終わらせて、まあ、これで、
Bow Hollow,
ストーリー上
Other
に
Trials
登場
and
する
more.
ID は、全部対応が終わる予定です。
Plans for patches
Sounds
And then
good to me.
next,
6465 being
next
made.
page
Okay.
covers both 6.4 and 6.5 series. But by this time, we aim to complete the trust system implementation into all of the Stormblood main scenario dungeon series. And so that should get through all of Stormblood.
で難易度可変ダンジョンと呼んでる新しいバトルコンテンツシリーズの
It's
第
gonna
2
be
弾とか
one-
第3弾も入れていきますし、
one
無人島
Hellpack
開
game,
拓の
man.
開拓エリアを追加したり
It's already
という予定
one
ももう
Hellpack game.
当然ね我々長期計画で進んでるので計画予定
But
され
like
てます。
even more so.
There's too much.
And then,
There-
of course,
you could say
our
there is
Criterion
too much
dungeons,
shit.
There's
will
too
see,
much shit.
An update. We should have numbers 2 and 3 implemented. And then for Island Sanctuary, at this time we want to expand upon the area. So we'll have an additional area.
でですね、例えば青魔同士のレベルキャップをどのタイミングにする、解放を
I
どのタイ
wonder
ミン
if
グに
that's
す
gonna
る
be
のと
like
か、そういう
an
状況を
instance
見ながら
house.
調整してるものに関してはどうして
Like, I
も
don't
ま
know
だ
how
言え
that's
ない
gonna
ので、それらもちゃんとどっかのタイミングでやっていき
Island
ますの
Sanctuary.
で、またそれぞれでですね、パッチのこう特集をお待ちいただければありがたいなと。やらないとかいうわけじゃないんで、ここに書かれてないものはね、まだ詰め切れてないものはちょっと言えないので、さすがに。まあこのあたりはもう全部確定しているので、お知らせしております。
I'm sure some of you might be wondering about, okay, when is the next time the Blue Mage is going to have their level cap increased? And some of these items, we need to monitor the situation. And so I'm afraid we aren't able to determine exactly when this is going to happen, but we do intend on doing it. We will share more information when we are going to do like a patch specific like updates live stream. Please note that even if it's not written in the document, it doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. So yeah, there might be information that we're still in the planning phases and we weren't able to solidify at this time. So we will continue to look at
Get Blue
various
Mage maids
existing
outta here.
content and provide updates when we can.
Man, imagine playing Blue Mage.
まあ
Yo,
なんか
blue-
パッチ上
That
で
ain't
出すと
me.
みんな細かいところあれはどう
Blue
だろう
mad,
などう
brother.
って
The only
なっちゃう
colored
あ
mage
の
I'm playing
まあ
is red
皆さんが
mage.
思ってることは基本的にやってるんで大丈夫です。
My mages are shades.
White and
I-
black
I see
mages
that
are
people in the
shades. They're
comments are talking
different.
about various,
I'm a shade mage.
You're a
granular
shade.
areas of patch updates. And I think it's safe to say that things that
All right,
people
Josh, you're
we
a
know people
Final
are,
Fantasy
expecting
veteran.
in a
Is
regular
there a
update
green mage?
will more than likely be included. So
Technically,
I wanna make
yes,
sure
but
that,
I don't
Oh.
remember what they do.
yeah, don't be worried.
I was joking.
まあアルバム
Wait.
の次がのはどうなるの種族ってどうなるのとかもう全部決ま
いや
って
let me
ちゃん
fucking-
と毎パッチやっていくので
Yeah, I'm
あれ
assuming
かな
it.
これかなって思いながら
They're a Vieira exclusive job.
Oh, from Final
And-
Fantasy 12.
the tribal quests beyond
Oh my
Arkasudara
God.
is I'm sure a mystery,
They're
but
debuffers
we
that
have
wield
a plan.
hammers
We
and
do have like which
maces.
Let's go.
group to
Wait, this sounds cool.
Final Fantasy
Wait.
Tactics.
and we
Yeah,
do
Final Fantasy
want
Tactics.
to have content available
I'm down for
each of
this.
the patch. So it'd be great if you could wait or not wait, but like
Okay, now I have to
speculate,
see whatever
kind of
what
imagine
other
what
colored mages
kind
there are.
of which tribe will we be
I'm sorry,
focusing
live
in
letter.
on?
White,
あ
white,
と
I'm
5
going-
の操作も
Black,
予定してる
blue,
んですけど、4になるか
green.
5になるかまだ決まってないん
I'm
で、ちょっと待
going
ってくだ
down
さ
the
い。
rabbit hole.
You go down the,
And
you go down
we
the
do
Final
intend on
Fantasy
making
job
Gold
rabbit hole.
Saucer updates, but we
Yo,
still haven't
Time
determined
Mage?
if it's going to be 6.4
Yeah,
or
Time Mage.
6.5. So that's
People
why
have been
we're not
asking for Time
mentioning it
Mage in
at this
14,
time.
but Astro's kind of
さ
like
あと
that
いうわけ
already.
で、まあ
Okay.
まあ変わらずですね、
But
モリモリで
time mages are
やっていきますよと
normally
いう
like,
お
oh,
知ら
you
せでした
can speed people up, slow them down,
just
stop
wanted
them
to
entirely,
go through all
summon
of these
comets,
roadmaps just
gravity
so that we know
spells.
that we
That's yeah, that's time
continue, or
mages.
we plan
Time mages
to
are sick,
continue
dude.
providing very
There's
hefty
also
updates.
ただです
they're
ね
not technically a
皆さんに
mage, but
これを
there's
踏ま
also
えてですね
rune
ちょっとお知
fencers,
らせをさせてくだ
which
さい。
I've
they
heard of that
buff
one.
they
But
buff
with that being
their they
said,
buff their sword with
allow
spells.
me to make
So like
one
they you can
announcement.
add fire to your
メ
sword
ジャ
and
ー
then
パッ
you're
チのサ
attacking
イ
with
クル
fire,
についてです。
like stuff like that.
That sounds
And
like
this
it
is
could be
regarding
like a
the major patch
magic
cycle.
melee DPS.
これまでですね、
Yeah, so
申請スタートからですね、まあずっとで
Yeah.
きるだけこの
Something like
3.5 ヶ月に
That's cool.
1メジャーパッチ配信っていうのを、まあ、目標に掲げてやってきました。
Oh, are they
So
changing
of
the
course,
patch
since
cycle?
the relaunch as A Realm Reborn, we've tried to keep this pace of one major patch update per every 3.5 months.
で、これをですね、本当申し訳ないんですが、2週間プラスしてですね、
Yeah,
4
that's
ヶ
fair.
月にさせてください。
Yeah. They're adding a
Developing
lot of
from home.
stuff. They're adding
And
so
terribly
much
sorry
stuff.
to ask
Yeah.
of this, ask you of this, but we need to extend it by 2 weeks, and so we want to
The bar
change
for
it so that
quality has
it's
gone
one
up, so
major
it makes
patch
sense that
every
it'll
4
take a bit
months.
longer.
で、
Yeah.
この2週間っ
As
て
long
何
as
かっていう
we're
と
not
です
like
ね、
the year
まあ我々
year
開
that
発
World
内
of
では
Warcraft has
実
gone
装
without
期
new
間っていうのと
content,
調整期
we're
間っていうの
good.
で大きく2つあるんですけど、この実装期間にプラスあと1週間、それから調整期間にプラスあと1週間の時間を
I don't know if
い
you
ただ
pay
いて、
attention to that game,
まあ
but the
マイメ
last
ジャー
patch
パ
they
ッチを
put out,
3.5 ヶ月で
all
何
they
回か
did
したの
was
をちょっと
bring
4ヶ
back
月、まあ
something that
プラ
was
ス
in
2周させ
Legion
てい
for
ただ
like
け
a
る
week.
と助かります。
Really?
So of course we have periods of our
That's-
development
I
cycle
don't know
where
about
it's
that game, man.
development and then implementation.
It's something else.
And
I don't know
various
about that game.
adjustments, fine tuning that we do. So
I hope it
this
does
2
better with
weeks that we ask
friggin' Xbox
of
taking
you
the
for your
helm.
patience is 1
I hope
week
if they
for
even take the
additional
helm, but, like,
implementation, and then
I feel
1
bad
week
for all the
for,
WoW
or 1 week
players
additional
that
for
Yeah.
just gotten so
fine
burned by that
tuning.
game
So that
recently.
makes it that 3.5 months now turns into 4 months.
でですね、
Let's see what other jobs
夏季
Final
休
Fantasy
暇
has.
期間とか、まあ我々やっぱ
Like
り
there's a
サマーバケー
huge
ション
variety of
スタッフ
jobs.
に渡
That's
したりす
like
る年末
if
年
there's
始
one
やっぱり
thing about Final Fantasy I
家族と
really
ゆっく
like
り過ごしてほ
is
しいっていうのが
whenever
あるので、
there's a game with a
まあ
job
夏季休
system
暇期間とか年末年始の場合には、
because
まあ
it
これに
it
プラ
gets
ス
so
1週間
creative.
させていただくことがあるかなと思います。
It gets insanely creative.
And in
Even
addition to
even
that,
Strangers in
we
Paradise has a
do
job
have
system,
breaks, like summer vacation or summer
which is
holidays.
one of the
New
reasons why I
Year's
want to play that
holidays.
game.
I'm sure people have family that they would visit over the holidays, and so for
you
those
look up
holiday
original
seasons,
Dark Knight.
we might see an additional
that shit
1
is
week's,
amazing.
not delayed,
14
but
Dark
one
Knight
week's,
is kind of like
14?
stuff.
time added
Sorry?
as well.
Original
ここまで
14 Dark
そ
Knight?
の前半
No,
の
no,
1
like,
年間っていう
just
ところ
what
でも
Dark Knights are
お伝え
supposed
し
to
ました
be.
けど、相当みんなの開発チーム、運営チームのモチ
'Cause,
ベー
like,
ションというところに頼って
They're
やってきた
they're
ところ
risk
があるなと思ってい
even
て、
in
まあそれは僕自身の
Heaven's
こう
Sword.
稼働の高さも
Like, they
含
were
めてなん
cool.
ですけど、まあ休みたいというより
But,
はや
like,
っぱ
Are
り
you
適
talking
切
about
に
like how
みん
their
な健
abilities
康
like
で
drains
健
their
やか
health
に
to do
開発
damage?
に取り組むことで
Yeah,
クオ
so
リ
they
ティが上がって
sacrificed
いくだろう
HP to
まあ
deal
実際足り
damage.
てない
Yeah.
無理をしてきたっていうところもあるので
I can
ちょっと
see
それ
how
が
that
理由
wouldn't
になっ
work
てま
for a
す。
tank, but
They basically
As
made
I
it
explained
MP
in the
instead of
first half,
HP.
when we were looking back at
Yeah.
our first 10 years, we really depended on
They
the
should do another
motivation
class
of
like
each of the
that, though.
developers that are on the team.
They should have did that with Reaper.
And me
That would-
included.
I think that would have
was
been
moving
very
around,
risk rewardy.
and very hands-on.
I think it would
with
have been
my team,
cool,
but
but like
looking
what they did
at
with Reaper
our
is
schedule
awesome.
and how we work,
So I can't
do
really
want
ask
my
much, but-
team to be healthy and
Yeah, I
be
don't know
able
what else they
to
could
sort
have
of
done with
maintain
Reaper.
a
It's so good.
good level of quality because they are taking the necessary breaks. And to be honest, there were areas where we might not have performed as well as we should have.
And
because
another
some of
job
us
I'd
may have been
want to
pushing
have
too hard.
is
So
it's
that's
called
the
chemist.
reasoning behind why we want additional time.
でまあ非常にね皆さん優しい
Should
コ
look
メン
that
トい
up.
ただけてるんでとても
Final
嬉し
Fantasy
い特に
Tactics
スタッフ
Chemist.
の健康とかね気遣っていただけてるんで
let's
と
see
て
what
も
we
嬉しいん
get.
ですけど、まあ、これまで 2.0 からねなんとか 3.5 ヶ月でこうやってきたそのこの実装10
Okay.
何週調整何週みたいなの
It's kind of funny, but it's also like
ちょっ
kind
とね
of
比較を持っ
awesome.
てきました
And thank you so much for the kind comments
I think I went to the wrong page for
regarding
this.
our staff and making sure that you're showing your concern to our staff members. It really warms my heart, and I'll make sure to relay that. But considering what we've been doing in terms of providing an update every 3.5 months since 2.0, and we work with a schedule of like such and such weeks
So
for
they, like,
implementation and whatnot. So
Throw potions?
we put together
Yeah.
this comparison
just-
chart for you to take
Like,
a
oh,
look.
you need a healer, just huck a
まあこれまで
potion at you.
比
Just-
較
Oh wait, yeah, that's pretty funny.
That's
Like
funny.
that'd be a
Funny.
healer where they just like
調整
throw
デバッグ
healing potions at you. It's like, take it,
3.5 ヶ
idiot.
月でやってき
Take it,
てたん
drink it.
ですけど
Drink it.
If somebody dies, just
Of
throw a
course,
phoenix down.
Our development
Shove it down their throat.
largely is broken down
Just
to
surgery!
planning,
We need it!
development, adjustments, and debug.
Oh my god, I want
And
Kevin in the game
this
so much.
is some of the numbers that we've pulled up.
まあ、パッチ 3.3 の時が左の列 5.3 の時が右の列
And then there's another job. Maybe it's
So the
chemist
column at the
also,
left
but like
is,
they-
patch
they can
3.3 series
combine
timing,
items to make them
and then
more
the column on
potent.
the right is patch 5.3 series.
Yeah.
まあ、コンテンツ数がね
It might have been
そこまで
chemist
極端にいったわけじゃないんですけど
in Final Fantasy
ジョブ数がまずね11だったのが18になってたりボス数が作ってるボス数がもう
Or it
17
was
から
another name, but
23
like
って増えてるんですねこれ当然調整コストめちゃ
that's
く
what
ちゃ
they
増えて
did.
るんで
And you could just be like, okay,
した
like
な
combine potions
So,
together,
I mean,
you
the
get a
number
group
of,
heal or something, right?
Content,
That would
like
be
types
cool
of
as fuck.
content, may not have varied over
But
the
just
years.
the
but
thought
if you
of
look at, say, like the
chucking
number of
potions
jobs,
at a tank, just
from
heal them.
patch 3.3,
It just
11
sounds hilarious
jobs,
to me.
we've now jumped up to 18 as of 5.3.
Yeah, finally
which
found
means
the
a
list
lot
of all the
different balance
jobs it's ever had.
adjustments
That's
for
what I was
those.
looking for.
Number of
Oh, okay.
bosses have gone from 17 to 23.
もちろんね開発スタッフっていうのも皆さんからいただいた月
Oh my god,
なんで
this fucking
まあどん
person
どん
right
採用
here.
してどんどん増やしていって
Female Roscars,
チーム規模も
relics,
当
more
然上
chocobo
がってるんですけ
content,
ど
more glasses.
じゃあ人が増えれ
Give
ば
Dark Knight a
そんな
raw
に簡単
tuition,
に僕ら工
please.
場製品作ってる
Character
わけじゃない
creation
んで
options,
量
necromancer,
産が上
gambler.
がるかっていうとやっぱりそうではないトレーニングも必要
This poor
経
guy.
験も必要やっぱりそんなスーパーエー
Wait,
ス
who are you
たちが中川とか須藤とか
This is someone
バ
in
ン
the
バン
chat.
育っていくわけじゃない
They're
の
like,
で
Okay.
please talk about stuff.
Of course, with our development team, thanks
They're
to
looking
the
at the
support
wrong
via
stream
monthly
right now. They
submissions,
even
our subscriptions from
they told us to
everybody,
limit our
we are
expectations
able
early on.
to
Yeah.
strengthen our team. We were able to hire additional staff, and so our team has definitely
Wait.
grown. But I mean, we're not in a
Oh,
factory
okay.
manufacturing.
I was going through the list of
Um,
jobs and I
like,
get to Final Fantasy II, and
we're
the
not
first
an
job
assembly
name I
line.
read
So
is Richard.
we require training. We require
Like,
for
okay,
our
it's
staff
the
to gain
character's stuff.
experience.
That's a character's
Not
name, yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
is a
I was like, man,
super.
now that's a
ace player
job.
like
That's a
Nakagawa
cool
or
job. We're playing
Sudo.
Richard, baby.
例えばこの
You know,
開発
Geomancer's
チーム
actually
運営チーム
that's pretty
三角
that's
形
really
だ
cool
とした
too.
場合にこの
So
三
its
角のス
its
ケールは
abilities that it
大きく
gets
できるんです
are
よ
based on where you
だ
are.
けど
Like
結
yeah.
局
on the
上の方
world.
に行くとどこまで行っても最後は頂点はディレクタ
That
ー
seems
とか
funny.
プロデュー
Become
サーっ
like
てなってくる
a
とここがやっぱ
earthbender.
そんな簡単には
pretty
増えないん
it's
で
pretty much
まあ
earthbending,
何で
yeah.
もかんでもたくさん調整もチェックもせずに出すってわけにもいか
Let's
ないか
fucking
ら
go.
まあ吉田を別に
Like
分身
people
さ
have
せろ
been
とか
asking
そ
for
の
for
培養
that
して
in
増やせばって考えもなき
in
しもある
Final
んですけど
Fantasy
まだ
14.
テ
They're
ク
like,
ノ
yo,
ロジー
add
も
a
そこまで追いつい
Geomancer.
てないんで
Yeah, I would be
But that
asking for that if I knew it existed.
So if you would imagine
Yeah.
our sort of
You know now.
team, I guess, our staff, or how we're organized as
Alright,
like
what else
a
we
giant
got?
triangle.
These are all character
And
names.
of course, we can
Okay,
always
well,
scale the triangle to be larger, but I mean, it's still a triangle, so the
Gunmate?
tip is very small.
What?
And when you get to like the director and producer
With
level,
the power of this
I mean, we
gun.
train fantastic people, but like it doesn't grow in numbers as much as like when you scale the lower part of it, and there still requires a lot of adjustments
Oh, it's also
that need
Blue
to be
Mage. Okay,
applied
that
on
makes
the
sense.
things that we do create. And of course, it would be awesome if we can create like multiples of Yoshida. Maybe if we can clone him or like I don't know. But still, it is quite a challenge.
吉田にハイデリンキックして分割しようって言われてるけど、それ
Yeah,
薄くなっ
I
て
think
ん
these
じゃん、
guys are
うち
kind of
吉田
losing me now. I'm starting to get too tired.
Somebody
Yeah,
is saying,
I think
if
they
I
went over all the
violent
important
kick on
stuff. I
Yoshida
think
and
we're
sunder him,
pretty
then we'll
safe to
have
flock
14 of
it.
him. But then wait, no, but he's sundered, so he's like thinner. Like it's, you have a diluted version of him.
いやいや、まあでもね、例えば
That's
そ
right.
の
If we
カ
missed
ットシーン
anything
の
interesting,
数
we'll
字なん
probably
てね、2時
see
間
it on
25
YouTube
分
We'll
tomorrow.
just see
だった
we'll just see
ね
Mione.
自動送りしていくと、まあ、パチ
Mione or
Yeah.
work the game, one of those guys. All right. Well, thank
Well,
you,
that
Jeff,
was
for joining
interesting.
me. That was very
Yeah, no problem.
interesting. Dude, Hildebrand, dude. Yeah,
Bro,
Hildebrand.
Hildebrand.
Hildebrand. And scary Lalafels and talking about Final Fantasy jobs.
I think the thing I'm most excited about from that is them going back to the old content
Yeah.
and just giving it a second time over.
That is like they don't even have to do that technically.
No, they really
that work's
don't.
already done, but it's like the time that they're actually going to take the time to do that to not only improve the new player experience, but like to also appease those that are like, oh, I don't fucking want to play with other people.
Yeah, like
That's a lot of dedication, love, and fucking.
like it might not happen, but it might also make it a little easier to like go back and replay it if you're one of those people that skip through most of the story.
Yeah. Like, I think the problem with New Game Plus is that the only incentive to do it is to experience the story.
Yeah.
But
I
there's
think-
no bonuses, which they should have added bonuses.
Yeah. It's kind
Or,
of
you
tough
know,
for you because you already have every job leveled. I'd say if you were to
Oh.
do New Game Plus, start from level 1 just so it's a
I'll start with Blue Mage. I'll go with Blue Mage.
I don't know. I think if
Or a new limited job. I would do it with a new limited job.
Ooh, yeah.
If they did like there's something that I would want. They would never do this, but like if they did a freelancer job.
Freelancer?
Like, okay, so freelancer Onion Knight is what I would add. Yeah. So like they can use everything in the game and you can assign them like abilities from shit that you've already learned. So let's say you have an Omni 90 character, right? And you're going to be playing a freelancer. Oh, let me just pick the skills I want. And there you go.
Yo,
and let me
wait.
equip whatever I want. It would be
That
broken
actually
as
sounds
fuck.
plausible.
Yeah.
That
It
sounds
would
like
be
a new layer of just going back and beating shit the way you want that Final
Yeah.
Fantasy seems to like doing.
that I would main that job. But it would be broken as fuck because you could just be like, okay, let me get myself
I mean,
Storm's
that would
Eye,
be like one of those
no
jobs,
mercy,
like Blue Mage.
ammo
they've-
combo, like yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. I would love to see that.
I mean, that would make going back and doing old trials really fun.
Extremely fun, especially like if you wanted to. Also, right? You could be like, okay, I have Blue Mage leveled. I have all the Blue Mage skills. Give me Blue Mage shit. Fucking fuck it, right? Fuck it. Who cares?
Oh my
They can't be
God.
allowed into current content anyway.
Sir, I think you just came up with something.
Oh
Are you Yoshi P?
no, sadly.
Damn.
Like I said, they would never. I don't think if we clamored for it. Oh my god, that would be amazing, dude. But like, no.
I mean, to be honest, Onion Knight doesn't seem like a bad idea for a limited job.
It's just like that's what I know Final Fantasy for. Just let me create what I want, you know.
I mean, even an idiot like me knows what an Onion Knight is.
He's also it's also kind of a funny name. Yeah. Oh, Onion Knight's welcome. Onion Knight's welcome. You smell, but you're also powerful.
Onion Knights got layers. They're like ogres.
True. True.
Sorry, I had to slip it in there once.
And like they're already. It's weird because the new PvP stuff, they're already kind of doing it. A little bit. They're already kind of doing it. But
I'm looking forward to seeing more of that new PvP.
I want to try it. I want to try it.
I think they said the next live letter was in March.
Yeah, March 4th, I think they said.
Okay, that's not too far away.
It's not too bad. Okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna close the stream now.
Yeah, no problem.
Here we go.
Bye, stream.
Bye, Strum.
See you guys again in another like 3 months.
Woo! Yeah, we played Final Fantasy, and then now we're done. We're done for
Yeah.
like a little bit.
Yeah, fuck you guys. I'm never coming back. I'm off to buy cigarettes.
All right.